got the signals for the Baltimore Colts. Unitas gives to Amici. The Colts are the world champions. Amici scores.
It's amazing, sensational, dramatic, heart-rending, exciting, thrilling finish in the history of college football. California won the big game.
5 seconds left in the game. Do you believe in miracles? Yes!
This is Phil Steele.
This is Mike Burnham.
This is Wes Durham.
This is Mike Ashley.
Hi, this is Chuck Foreman, number 44 of the Minnesota Vikings.
Woo, mercy, this is handsome Jimmy Vane, the Boogie Woogie Man.
This is Coach Fry with Virginia Tech Football, and you are listening to Big Dog Sports Talk.
Are you ready to rock? Are you ready to roll? Okay, let's do it.
You're in the doghouse with Rick Watson on Big Dog Sports Talk, presented by Pulaski County Sports and Entertainment. Join us in the Family Fencing Studios and chime in on the McClellan Chiropractic chat line. He's keeping cool with help from Little River Heating and Air, but this show is straight fire. And now, the big dog, Rick Watson.
And a very pleasant good morning to you here on the finally Friday edition, finishing up week 5 of this journey into YouTube with the show. And I will gladly take the smaller box on the screen to start out to give way for that big gold number that you see in the middle. Ladies and gentlemen, we hit 500 subscribers yesterday. And thank you. Absolutely amazing. We put the countdown up on the Facebook page, and it just kept going down and down and down. And then when we got down to like 3 and 2, I started thinking,
"Oh my! Oh no! Oh no! That was out of nowhere."
Yes.
Oh!
Yes, yes, it was. But thank you from the bottom of my heart. Getting to where we have gotten this quickly is amazing. Almost. I don't know, within 20 minutes after we got to the 500 plateau, and let me get that off of there now since, we have celebrated and we feel great about it. But, hey, how are you? Good to see you. Since we got there, sure enough, my handler reached out. Congratulations. It was great. It's just like a coach when you were playing high school football or whatever sport. You have reached the first benchmark required for a life. Required. They changed, you're like, I know you've been. Now, continue to grow your channel. Reach for the next goal, which, of course, is 1,000. But we're not going to talk about that right now. We're gonna celebrate, and we're going to wrap our arms around the fact that we have made a tremendous accomplishment, I think. And, again, it's because of you, all of our great sponsors. It's amazing. It's amazing to have hit 500. So thank you so much. Continue to spread the word. Obviously, you need more subscribers. And just remind people it's free, and we'll keep expanding the channel. But thank you so much. I did put out a short video yesterday thanking everybody. If you get a chance on the channel to see it, pretty genuine response. It was I don't know how to do. They have a thing on there called video, and then they have one called shorts. And I don't know how to do the shorts. I kept trying to. It's called a video short, and every time I try to do it, I accidentally erased it. And I'm still learning as I go. But in any event, thank you so much. It's awesome. It's awesome. And I know it all to you. I do. 500 subscribers blows me away. And I think the thing about it is it shows you how YouTube has kind of encompassed itself into everybody's lives. It's just natural. I mean, I realized I was just flowing into it naturally when I was old cable, direct TV. I got to have my sports right there. I got to have a package. And then all that went away when AT&T bought it, and it went nuts and backwards, and it started costing way too much. And then YouTube TV kept creeping in when they got the Sunday ticket, and I realized I'm watching everything through YouTube, and I'm an older guy. I don't like change, So when I decided finally, prompting of others, to bring this show here, it kind of felt a little bit out of my league, but it also felt kind of natural because I'd gotten used to watching and kind of learning about it. But I owe it all to you, guys and gals. The way you have spread the word of mouth for the show, thank you. The Facebook page has exploded as well. Thank you for that. Like I said, last Sunday when all this happened at Virginia Tech with Brent Pry, we had over 200,000 interactions with our 4 posts. Just amazing. But we're growing. We can do this. It's our show here in the NRV, Southwest Virginia, this region beyond, and we can take it anywhere we want to go. So thank you. There's no limitations for people who want to have things work and be successful. And I owe it all to you. I do. Will Stewart joins us at 7 o'clock. We'll dive further into the Virginia Tech situation. He always has some insight that the rest of us don't have. He talks to a lot of the big money people. He talks to a lot of the people inside the department, and we'll get his vibe on where we are with the future of all this and with WIT and with how this is going to structure. And I have some thoughts on that after talking to some more people around college football yesterday about what Virginia Tech's planning, and it's a pretty good idea of what they're going to do. So we'll get into that a little bit. Mike Ashley's going to join us as well, and then Jen the Gamecock Girl, and we'll have our picks in the final segment today. And as always, we want to hear from you. Jump into the McClellan Chiropractic chat, and let's hear from you on a Finally Friday. It's high school football night as well. We'll go over the games. Join us here on our BDST Professional Door Incorporated text line, 540-391-0788. Thank you, Paul. Appreciate that. Prometheus, thank you so much as well. Thanks, Big Al. It's awesome. Paul says, does anybody use satellite anymore? That's a great question, Paul. And you remember, I'm sure, remember when they had you could get the gigantic satellite dishes back in the day, and it had the little calibration machine inside, and you can actually turn to the satellites, whatever they were, right there, and move it yourself from your house, inside your house. My uncle Howard Wade, God rest his soul, had business out in California. As a matter of fact, he's the connection I had to why I grew up a UCLA fan, even though I've denounced that fanship now when I went out to the 76 Rose Bowl. Thank you, Jim. Appreciate that. The Reiner 500. Yes, sir. Now we just need to get a few more sponsors. So I used to watch his house. He had a house on Claytor Lake, and he trusted me. I was a little older, teenage into early college, and I'd go and watch his dogs. He was away for business for about 2 months every summer, and I would go watch his house on his lake. He had a pool. I was responsible. I took care of it, but we had some fun up there. But he had one of those gigantic dishes, Paul. You remember? And you could go through, and you could watch anything. You could get any ball game. This was during the summer, so I was watching Padres games. It was awesome. This was before the regulation. What was it? Next Star, whatever it was. But, man, I'm telling you, it was great. It was great. Anything you wanted to watch, even the channels that were a little saucy, you could find it all. All you had to do was just kind of turn the knob on the – yeah, they were gigantic. They were like the things you would see at NASA. They were NASA satellite-sized dishes. It was great. It was great. It was awesome. We want to thank Family Fencing. They have sponsored this studio that has now reached 500 subscribers. They were with us from the get-go. No dig installation system. Thank you very much, Jason Green. Locally owned. Finance options are available. Free quote today, 540-200-8294. FamilyFencingNRV.com. Mark Hunley, McClellan Chiropractic. Jump in the chat room. Many, 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 many of you do at all times. It's a lot of fun, and I love interacting with you in the chat room. So easy. I mentioned Travis Williams, Professional Door Incorporated. The text line is just jam-packed every day. I got so many congratulations about hitting 500 through the text line yesterday. Thank you. 540-391-0788. Go see them. They've been doing it for 38 years. Garage doors better than anybody. Residential, commercial, Route 100, right across from NRCC. Thanks to Lara Ramsey, National Bank member FDIC, the exclusive banking partner of BDST. Each and every day we are brought to you by Pulaski County Sports and Entertainment. We've been telling you about all the great things they've been doing, what they're doing next all week long. Thank you so much, Jonathan Sweet, Tim Miller. Can't wait to tell you more and more about it as we go ahead here. Little River Heating and Air, 1095 Radford Street in Christiansburg. Go see Charles Lee. I think he's already gotten 3 folks who watch the show that have hired him. That's what this is about, trying to help one another, because we're getting out there. And we can help you, sponsors. We can help you. We can help you. And the attorney, Ryan Pry in Radford, I'm going to tell you right now, Shane Beamer won the BDST fan question of the week. He ended up with 31 responses. A little surprised, but Shane Beamer's the winner of the Ryan Pry BDST question of the week. So there you go. All right. Thank you, Garrett. Yes, sir. Thank you, Troy. So much. Big Al says my neighbor had an ET dish after he passed away, and I took a torch and cut it down. I still use satellite at the tailgate. Awesome. That's pretty cool. Can Florida beat Miami? Can they? Sure, they can. Do I think they will? No. I mean, Billy Neighbors in a lot of trouble. He's in a lot of trouble. And it comes down to me to the Miami thing, too. You know, Andy Bitter said yesterday, and it's so true, it's fallen for the banana in the tailpipe. You know, when is that game? Tomorrow night? Tomorrow night, 7:30. Miami's 9.5-point favorites. Vegas thinks they're going to win. Vegas thinks they got that thing pretty solid. But we'll see. We shall see. Thanks, Rodney. Good morning to you as well. Well, I don't know if it's well-deserved. I owe it all to you guys. I do. Prometheus says, how can the fans trust the same people making the decisions again? Same president, same AD. Don't see anything different. Something to that, right? It's what I've been talking about all week. We're going to get into that with Will. The committee is an scapegoat. Nobody gets fired or held accountable. It seems a little clogged up a little bit. And what I kind of learned yesterday from talking to some people, because I try to get information and pass it along to you, not necessarily because, you know, I'm trying to be first with anything. I'm just trying to get accurate stuff. I don't ever want to come on and just throw a bunch of crap against the wall and hope it sticks. That's never what I've kind of been about. I don't have to be first, and I don't have to try to make up things, but it feels like, and what I got was this, and I made some notes from the different folks I talked to. What is going around in circles, and we're not part of these conversations at all, but apparently President Sands, his goal is to have the GM in place in Blacksburg before the head coach. So it's going to go in that order. I don't agree with that. I've told you my opinion about that. It can work. I think it creates potential hazards in that relationship with the new coach, depending on the personalities. So they're looking at a GM. I hesitate to tell you the name that came up twice yesterday. Do I tell you the name that came up twice yesterday, but you won't go around and say, I said this was going to happen? The committee is going to be about 4 or 5 people. But apparently they don't know how that's going to go yet. Who's going to be on it? People are trying to say, we want to be on it. I want to be on it. This person should be on it. So that's where we are. There was a name that came up twice yesterday, okay, for the GM position. John Gruden came up twice yesterday. I'm not saying that's going to happen. And it's not for the head coaching position. It'd be for the GM position. I don't know what that exactly means. Apparently, he's putting out flyers everywhere. He wants to get back into collegiate. He wants to get back into coaching at the collegiate level. He wants to get back into it at some level. I think they've gotten over when people were trying to cancel him out for, he's apologized and everything that happened that cost him his job in Vegas and all that. So we'll see if this gains some momentum. But that was a name that I was told twice yesterday by 2 different entities. So I take that as that's probably a name that's going to be floated a little bit. So we'll see. Now, I don't want anybody saying that Rick said this was going to happen, because that's not what I'm saying. Not what I'm saying. Thanks, Hokey Bob. Congratulations on attaining 500 subscribers. Big ribeye and baked potato time. Side of bacon. Yes, have some. Yes. Although, not a massive baked potato guy, but yeah. You know what I've really been getting into lately with my ribeye? The au gratin potatoes. If you get those done right, man, you get that little bit of cheese, put bacon on it, and have it kind of run down as you cut your perfectly cooked medium rare ribeye. Cooked any other way, you've ruined it. And you kind of dip it down in that au gratin cheese. I've been doing that more frequently. So anyway, John Gruden's name for the GM position came up twice yesterday. Somebody in the middle part of the country and somebody in the upper Midwest part of the country told me that. Take that for what you will. That's all I'm saying. And I'll bring all this up with Will Stewart. Yes, Prometheus. Bacon with a side of potatoes. I mean, can you lose? See, that's my thought too, Al. I don't know if you can have him in a position like that and then have a head coach who's going to be able to function like a head coach. This is why I would go the other way. And it seems like to me, let's say John Gruden's name was connected to Virginia Tech for somehow this new structure is going to look. If this ends up being the thing, I'd have no problem if he were the head coach and then he could hire his GM. I mean, nobody's questioning the kind of coach John Gruden is. Now, he had horrible ownership out with the Raiders at the time. Everything was just. But I don't know how that would coexist. And that's the only thing that you think about. That's why I think they're going about this in the wrong order. Committee, I have no problem with. If you can agree on a committee and you go out and you're vetting coaches and you bring them in, okay, whatever. Just keep Witt away from it, which is going to happen. But I just don't like the whole idea of it. I just don't. I just think unless somehow your GM and head coach is a package, or maybe you just go out and, you have a committee and then you have a GM and you tell the GM, you go find your guy. But is somebody going to come in as a collegiate GM? This is what I'm saying. This is why you can't compare the GM setup in the NFL to what we're seeing develop as we go along at the collegiate level, because this isn't an established position. These aren't folks who have been around for 20, 30 years who have now bumped up as a general manager, like as is the case many times in the NFL, or a hot young personnel guy. We haven't had that at the collegiate level. So how could you have a GM in most cases that's going to have the kind of relationships they need to have to go out and vet coaches to bring them in? And Prometheus, you're 100% right. And yesterday, if I had any kind of reservations with how I felt, Andy Bitter eased all that. Georgia Tech. Virginia Tech should be stopping everything. They should be like George now and do the complete opposite of everything they've done and what they're thinking about doing. Change what you're eating at the cafe. Go up to the hot blonde who's at the counter who ordered the same lunch as you, looked in your direction, whereas before you normally wouldn't have went over and talked to her. But as you're convinced by your peers, in this case Jerry, do the opposite. Old George, intimidated by women, never would have looked at her. New George, go up and say hello. Go tell her that you're unemployed and you live with your parents. I'm Victoria. Hi. Tech should do the opposite. You have the Georgia Tech model right there in your league, and they were much worse off had a horrible coach in place who was all about vibrato, all about himself. Brent Key. He plugged him right in. Fired the coach, fired the AD. Brought the two in together. Tech apparently looking to leave their AD in place and then bring a GM before the coach. I don't like any of that. You have to think out of the box when you failed for the last 8 years. And it feels like to me they're trying to tell you they're going to do something different and structure it all differently, but really they're not going to change a whole lot. A failed football AD. He's not a complete failure as an AD, but he's a failed football AD. But now, because of relationships, because of affinity, it looks like you're just going to push him aside. He's going to stay. Have nothing to do with the one sport that really, really matters above all else in Blacksburg. Always will. It's just a coexistence you're creating, and you're just potentially more politics and more ill feelings and so many things that can clog up the drain. Georgia Tech cut bait with everybody, cleaned house, and now look at them. And I'm not saying they're going to win the national title, but they have a huge NIL budget. They have a coach who is dynamic, Brent Key. They may have one of the top 5 quarterbacks in all college football, and they're attracting better players. They got it rolling. And that's because they stopped everything they thought was right and finally said, let's just start over again. Tech's not starting over again. Getting rid of the head coach isn't starting over again. It doesn't go far enough, in my opinion. If I'm wrong and I'm still doing this program next year, 2 years, then I'll admit it. But people are asking me, and I don't think the way the early plan seems to be settling in is the way to go. That's all. So I agree with all of you who are concerned. I do. I get it, 100%, because I have the same concerns. And it's not any kind of personal vendetta against anybody. It's just kind of looking how other things take place. We had a major coaching change at Radford in our football program, our men's basketball program. When Darius got the job at LaSalle, there was a great relationship there with many of the people he had in place, not only assistants, but, the basketball support people on his staff. Great people, but it was never an option to keep any of them because they weren't part of the new thing. It wasn't personal. It's just you can't go forward if you keep one foot back in the door, like this show. If I didn't go full throttle into this and I was still thinking of it from a radio standpoint, I wouldn't have been able to try to do it. It's a different example, probably a silly example, and it feels like that's what Tech is doing. They're saying all the right things. Hey, we're going to change this. We're going to revamp this whole thing, but yet we don't want to really change a whole lot. It was easy to get rid of the head coach. That was easy. That's the easiest decision they're going to have in this whole process. But when I'm getting concerns from people who are in Power 4 positions in programs that are a lot more successful than Virginia Tech, and they're questioning this, that makes me pay attention. And I'm just sharing with you. They have no problem with me sharing you the information. I will not give away sources. People have asked who these people are, and I'm not going to say that. That's betraying a trust. I'm not going to do that for points. Just not. But I'm sharing it with you because I believe these are very valid sources. And if they're looking at it from the standpoint of how they do things and then how this is, that tells you right there that the first thing you're getting from a lot of these other places is, it doesn't sound like they're committed. Paul says, one thing that has always left me puzzled. Virginia Tech has one of the best nutrition and fitness programs in the country, but we have talked 2 years how these players can't make it in the second half. Yeah, no question. And that goes beyond just a strength and training coach. We have nutritionists at Radford. I use our example because we have all these things in place. We've taken the time. We've created Chad Hyatt, our head athletic trainer, who loves a good steak. We have a nutritionist. We have somebody who's constantly working with our athletes about their diet, making sure they're getting all the things they need. I see it up close. And this is the way, if we're doing it at Radford, like you said, Paul, we know it's a good program at Tech already. But, yeah, these teams have looked completely overwhelmed. Old Dominion wore Tech out last Saturday. Crazy. On the professional door text line, lots of things coming in. Most top coaches won't take this job unless they can bring in their own people. And that's another layer to this. If you have a GM in place, you're going to have a coach who's going to say, okay, yeah, I'll take that job, but here's who I want to bring in. Does the GM then allow the coach just to say, here's your staff, or are they going to have to be involved in position by position? See, if you have the coach in first that the committee agrees on, he brings in his GM, then they're going to be cohesive. They're going to slide right into who's going to be on the staff. They may even have a prior relationship. I think it's very important for the GM to have a relationship with the coordinators, the main cogs on a new coach's staff. Thank you, Morris. Congrats, 500. I thought Bruce Arians was the name that resonated most for GM. Now, he will not be a GM, but we got a little clue into his involvement, and he will be involved. He'll be a consultant when asked upon. That's what Mike Burnup told us last Tuesday. The Pennsylvania connection, Bruce Arians and Don Strock. I think Bruce Arians is going to be involved, but he's not going to be involved in an official capacity. But he will be involved. He's getting ready to take a job, Mike said, analyzing game tape. I think NFL, I don't know what show it is, maybe Sirius Satellite or something. So that'll be good for him. But he will help. He cares a lot about Virginia Tech, and he will be involved. He will be. But he won't be the GM. He won't be the GM. By the way, please like and subscribe. Tell your friends. Now that we've hit 500, let's go higher. Let's keep going. Let's don't rest on our laurels. Just like a coach. Like Coach Hicks used to say, we just beat Salem. Right? You'd look at us. You didn't think you could go out there and beat Salem. We beat them. If you don't go out this week, if you don't beat Franklin County, last week didn't matter. You got to prepare the same way. I hear that today like I used to hear it then. God rest your soul, Coach, and thank you. So now that we've gotten to 500, let's keep going. Let's keep going. High school football tonight. There's a lot of big matchups. William Fleming, Patrick Henry. I think that's two unbeaten teams meeting down in Roanoke. Should be Victory Stadium that no longer exists. EC Glass and Heritage. How about 0-3 Salem? Could be 0-4. They're playing a pretty good Dinwiddie team. Can you imagine an 0-4 Salem team? I think the last time they were 0-3, Jermaine said this week on the Fourth and Goal show, was in the 90s. Christiansburg looking for the first win. Have their hands full at Lord Botetourt. Galax Radford has been postponed, canceled. Galax doesn't have enough healthy players, so Radford's already got a forfeit in that one. Battle of the Green and Gold, Glenver and Northside. If you saw the Fourth and Goal show, that's the WFXR game of the week. They will be down there. William and Bird, undefeated. William Bird at Bassett. Patrick Henry, Glade Spring, and George Wythe. Rustburg and Brookville. Magna Vista, I think, is undefeated. Franklin County. Floyd County, Tim Cromer and the Buffs at Grayson County. Well, that's a nice rivalry game. Narrows and Giles. The green and gold against the blue and red. Think that's a bit of a rivalry? I hear that might go back a ways. Huh. Jefferson Forest having a good season early against Liberty. Carroll County and Fort Chiswell, Perry McClure, Stonewall Jackson, Hidden Valley struggling. James River's pretty good this year. Right here in Reiner, Castlewood coming to town. The Eagles coming off a big road win last week against Fort Chiswell. Expect a huge crowd here, right outside. Well, up the road a little bit from my house. Love to get home and hear that. They'll be cheering a lot tonight, I think, up here at the stadium. Rural Retreat in Lebanon, Eastmont taking on Montcalm, West Virginia. And I believe that is it this week. Pulaski County, where's Pulaski County? Cougars were off last week. They have to be playing tonight. Where's my alma mater? Blacksburg? Are they off again? Did I miss Pulaski County? Oh, there we go. Stanton River up in Dublin against Pulaski County. I missed the Cougar game. Ooh, that'll be a good game. Stanton River and the Cougars coming off a win. They had a bye week last week. They won at Tazewell. Jason Tickle says, go Big Red, beat Nars. Fun stuff. Rodney, you going to be covering Narrows and Jaw? Oh, awesome. Awesome. David says Jeff King. Yeah, that name's been coming up a lot. He's there with player development for the Bears. He's in the NFL climbing the ladder. We talked about that. It's going to come up to him. Do you want to leave the NFL for the uncertain, uncharted waters of what's going on? Maybe he wants to be part of the building thing here. Maybe he's got that aspiration. It'd be a personal thing. NFL folks are pretty weird about letting their folks talk to people. Maybe I'll try to reach out and see if we can get him on just to kind of feel it out. We can talk to old number 90. He wore 90, didn't he? Blacksburg? I think he was 90. Jeff King. Yeah, Pulaski County finally at home. Against Stanton River. Go Cougars. No offense, Stanton River, but it's my alma mater. So there you go. That's your high school schedule. And we have the 4th and Goal show up if you want to watch the preview. And you can watch all the stuff tonight on WFXR. Post-game with Jermaine. They've now taken the lead in high school football coverage by far. Not close. Thank you, Jimmy. Great job. Congratulations with 500. Wayne says maybe we should have a contest with the winner having game day barbecue with Rick. Predict the new head coach now, then 3 months from now, see who wins. Look, I'm not against any contest that involves some type of very finely prepared meats. I mean, usually when I hear that's on the buffet somewhere, or we're having a big dinner. Really, what are they going to have? Oh, they're having prime rib. Okay, I think we should try to go. Oh, Rick, it's great you care so much about the community. I do, but they're having prime rib too. That's motivation for you right there. See how that immediately gets you motivated? See where Wayne went? He went right to something with barbecue. If he would have worded that differently and said, hey, toss salad with Rick, then nobody's going to have any interest in joining that contest. Nobody. Prometheus says we've been right about the Bears QB. Yeah, Caleb Williams is not going to be what the Chicago organization, I think, got the ownership, got fooled by the media into taking Caleb Williams over Jaden Daniels. I mean, Paul, are you and Wayne together? You both just put up Panera posts. Really? Really? No, it's not happening. Caleb Williams was propped up to be this thing. Like if I were any GM that had full reign and I had the number 1 pick, all it would have taken for me was when he lost to UCLA, they were heavy favorites. UCLA throttled him. I think they sacked him like 7 times. They beat the crap out of USC. And he jumped in the stands. He was crying on his mother's shoulder. The cameras found him. And I would have immediately went, that guy's not leading my franchise. He's incapable of leading my franchise. Next. I don't care if he wins the National Player of the Year. I don't care I don't care. There's a reason that he didn't work out at Oklahoma. Right? I watched a little bit of the Bills game here on the Professional Door text line. A little bit. First of all, I hate the monochrome. These teams continue just to mess up their unis. They have no clue what they're doing at Nike. All blue look terrible. Just wear your uniform. Wear your white pant. Dolphins are not good. Mike McDaniel is not a good head coach. He's not going to be around too much longer. Bills are really good. Josh Allen is taking that next step. Josh Allen's the best quarterback in the NFL. He has surpassed Mahomes. He's the best quarterback in the NFL. Yeah, he's the best. You did. Yeah, Wayne, you late to the party. You missed some Gruden talk. Sorry, man. You did. You missed some Gruden talk. I guess you guys got to go back and rewatch the show, Wayne. I mean, you know what time we start. Paul says you can be good, but you have to win the big game. Yeah, ask Dan Marino, no question. I mean, that's the biggest example I can always retort to Dolphin fans when they try to compare Marino and Elway. There's no comparison. Dan Marino had a cannon for an arm. He was one of the most poised quarterbacks of his time. He was allowed to air it out more than anybody during that era, than any quarterback in the league. Don Shula understood what he had. He was very smart. You have Duper and Clayton. You have all those. I mean, I would have done it too. They got to the Super Bowl, his second year in 84, played the 49ers, got pounded. I remember him in the locker room. He was disappointed. He says, well, I plan on being back in this game many, many times, and I'll remember how this felt, so the next time I'll prepare. They never got back there. They haven't been to the Super Bowl since, have they? You better win it when you have a chance. And, yes, it tarnishes Dan Marino's legacy that he never got back and won a Super Bowl, 100%. Sorry, Dolphin fan, but it does. John Elway admitted the same thing. John Elway took 3 Broncos teams to the Super Bowl that didn't belong there. One in 86 that won in Cleveland, maybe. That was a team that was developing when they came back and won the game in overtime. Wayne, you remember that, right? When, the Browns took the lead late on the Brian Brennan touchdown, and then the Broncos drove subsequently 98 yards and having dog bones thrown at them. Remember that? And then Broncos won in overtime. Remember that game? I'll go over the Gruden thing again for you here, Wayne. Wayne says no memory. And then the Giants beat him in that Super Bowl. I think it was 39-20. We were right there till halftime. Then Rich Carlos kept missing field goals. Next year, the Broncos were not good. They got there. The strike shortened year, and they got beat by Washington badly. And then the 49ers. Elway admitted later, he went to 5 Super Bowls. 5 Super Bowls at that era. Unheard of until Brady did it later. And then they won 2, and he admitted that if he hadn't won a Super Bowl, he never would have been satisfied with his career. There's no way Dan Marino sits around any day of his life and doesn't regret the fact he never won a Super Bowl, as great as he was. And he was great. He was. Absolutely. For Wayne and those of you who are just joining us here on our 500 celebration day. Hang on, let me do this again. I'm just now finally learning all these buttons, by the way, after those times. There we go. 500, ladies and gentlemen. 500. We hit 500 subscribers. It's awesome. Let's give us a big round of applause.
Oh, my. Oh, no. Oh, no. That was out of nowhere.
There we go. Thank you. Thank you so much. The best sound clip ever. Ever. Thanks, Neil. I shared a couple different parts of different conversations I had yesterday from people around some power schools across the country. And Wayne, this is for you. Mr. Late to the party. That John Gruden has been putting his name out there, and that his name has been tied to the Virginia Tech GM position, not the coaching position. I'm not saying that's going to happen. That was my one condition of sharing that info. I don't want people thinking I'm predicting that. But that's interesting. Someone immediately made a very apt observation. This is why you're the smartest listening audience in YouTube. How would that work if Gruden's a GM? How's a coach going to come in, a much younger coach likely, and work for a guy like that? See, this is what I'm saying. They've got the order reversed. And the other part of that was that Tech is dead set on having a GM before the head coach. That is going to happen because these sources were 100% sure from the people they talked to from within the walls. That's what President Sands wants. Can it work? Sure. But you better have the exact correct dynamic in place for that to work. That's a slippery slope. This isn't like a GM head coach relationship in the NFL. I know it's structured the same, but it's not the same. The other part is, by the way, I left out earlier that you probably already knew. It will be someone with head coaching experience. They have already dwindled the pool from non-head coaches. They're not doing that route again. They're not bringing in another Brent Pry type of resume. It's going to be somebody who's had a head coach. If you were to ask me today who I would like to see be the new head coach, Dave Clawson. From a realistic go-get standpoint, if he wants to even get back into it. Go back and just look at the trajectory and what he did at a place like Wake Forest, who I believe still has, somebody can check me, the smallest Division I power school enrollment of any school in the country. Go look at their facilities and what they're building around Winston-Salem. Go look. He's an offensive innovator. I think he's been around it enough to where he can work with a GM and understand. Maybe he's needed to get away for a couple years to look at the landscape of the NIL. These coaches do this their whole life. They get out of it because they're disgusted with what was going on, didn't want to have to face it. Then maybe they're like, I need to get that itch scratched. Let's go to a place I know pretty well, Blacksburg, a place I was tied to 4 years ago for that job. But someone like that, yeah. I think that would be a slam dunk hire. Now, a lot of people may not. You may want something else, but you don't need to have something as fancy as you think. You don't need to go to the car lot and buy the new 2026 $87,000 truck. You might find one from 3 or 4 years ago for $25,000 that has all the same components. It's just not as new. Somebody like that to me would make a lot of sense. And if Dave Clawson can make Wake Forest into what he made it, and they were formidable. They weren't a national contender or even a perennial ACC top 3. But boy, you knew when you played Wake Forest, that was a program that was going to get 7, 8, sometimes maybe 9 wins a year. And you better buckle up because they never had a great home field advantage. but they were always well coached. You had to really go out and play a certain way against his teams if you were going to beat them. And he found some recruiting gems. Imagine what he could do. Blacksburg, they're going to have all these resources. Once the official announcement's made that the money from the board is approved, the new dedication, the rededication to the football program, the rabid, loyal fan base. Just saying. Yeah, that's crazy, Paul. Crazy. Paul says a podcaster out of South Carolina is trying to say that Tech visited Shane Beamer. This is what I was talking about earlier that I will never become on this channel. That didn't happen. That never would happen for a myriad of reasons. But you're only putting that out there to try to get people. He probably put it up on a headline. Oh, let's go click on that. Let's go watch that. No. Prometheus, I kind of feel the same way. And what I think these other folks are hearing is that Gruden is probably putting it out there to everybody. He wants to be I think he wants to be a college coach. Heck, knowing Gruden, he wants to be, and he has before, he wants to be the coach and the GM. That's why I'm saying if he's the GM, it's going to have to be a coach that he approves of. Now, maybe you bring him at a GM and you just let him be the guy who hires the coach. I don't know who that would be. But that would be an interesting dynamic. It sure as heck wouldn't be boring. I know that. He'd be a fun guest to have on this show from time to time. So I hope it happens. That'd be great. That'd be great. That would be awesome. But anyway, that's just one of the names that I heard. We don't know anything. We don't know anything. But I was just sharing that with you because, like I said, it's coming from two different places. And when it comes from two different places, I feel like that's pretty credible. That's pretty credible. But anyway, that's where we are. Thank you again. We got to 500. And it blows me away that we got to 500. So thank you for that. It happened yesterday. Like I said, I put the countdown yesterday up. When we got within 10, I put the countdown up, and it kept going so quickly. And it was great. It was great. And it kept going down. It kept going down and down and down. And once we got down to 2, I was very excited. And then it happened very quickly. So thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you so much for that. That was a great feeling. That was a great vibe. GM makes sense on our McClellan Chiropractic chat line. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't share it again. I'm getting used to this, guys. My apology. There we go. But reporting structure being talked about with AD out of the loop is not making me full of confidence. Yeah, W's at home. Got to win. Got to win. Paul says that guy did say something on the sports page. Oh, yeah, you mean Gruden? Yeah, Tech did send him a bunch of football stuff. Yeah, they did. They did. He's been doing that. He's been going around to pro teams, too, and they send him a box. He opens the box. It's pretty cool, actually, to watch. Did I make a poster? I had a little piece of paper. See, what I forget is that things are backwards. Like, remember how we talked about this text line right here? You see this forward. You see Randy Gradishar back here forward. See the name Gradishar on the jersey? I see it backwards. So when I had the sign, the 5, I should have brought it down. I didn't bring it down. But I had it up, and everybody was saying it was reading backwards. This world frightens and confuses me. So it wasn't really a poster, but it was a little, yeah. I'll have it on Monday. But on to the next 500. Jimmy says the next head coach needs to be a younger age coach with tons of excitement. I don't know if it needs to be a younger head coach. They just tried that. Didn't work. I don't think it needs to be a younger head coach, but I think it has to be some kind of former head coach. Because you can have a coach who's a veteran coach that comes in with a lot of excitement. You know, you can have a coach that can be out of it and understand this is my last shot. Let's go, you know. And I think the atmosphere that you get around the program because of the fans, that helps energize people. On our Professional Door Incorporated text line, do you think if Shane Beamer's decision would be if he wins or loses this year? South Carolina says, please go. Do you think if Shane Beamer's – I'm not sure the question. Do I think it would be his decision? Shane Beamer has no interest in coming back to Virginia Tech. I don't know how more clearly to say that. Let's just answer that question with what I have been told by several sources that know the situation. I don't know why it continues to be. I guess the natural thing is boom, boom, boom. And here's the question you really need to ask yourself. We'll see how the South Carolina season progresses. They were picked number 13 in the country. 2 years ago, there was about half dozen, and you got this from Jen. Remember? She's down there in the middle of it. Half a dozen of the big money people doing anything they could to get him out of there. They were convinced to lay off. They had the big year last year. Subsequently, look at college sports, the decisions that these administrators make that make no sense. He went from potentially losing his job to, oh, here, let's add a couple of years to your deal. This year, they were number 13 in the country. They were as hyped as any team not named Georgia, Tennessee, Alabama, you name them, Texas in the SEC. They have not looked good in any game this year. And that was before Lenore Sellers got busted up against Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt, we know what they did to Tech. They physically assaulted South Carolina in the trenches last Saturday. I mean, they could have been arrested. That is a good football team, I know. It's turning out to be the case. South Carolina has looked unprepared. Virginia Tech game was 10-8. They couldn't move the ball. Look at how everybody else has moved the ball against Tech since then. Vanderbilt, Old Dominion. Whose offense looked better to you, Old Dominion or South Carolina? They looked bad the next week against South Carolina State, who was standing toe-to-toe with them in the first half. South Carolina State. Then they get obliterated last week. What do you think is going to happen tomorrow at Missouri? His trajectory, everybody acts like his is just some kind of slam dunk because you better watch how this season goes for him. Especially now with Sellers dealing with injury issues, which has been the problem with him since he got back into big-time college football. I guess it's comfort food. I guess it's a name that's comfort food for people. Shane's not coming to Blacksburg, and I don't believe deep down you really understand how much you don't really want that. If that team was looking good and losing like they did, they looked completely unprepared. Even before Sellers got hurt, they were outmatched against Vanderbilt. They were outmatched against Vanderbilt. And I think they showed the shots of him always with his head set off, looking disgusted and always pouting. It just kind of comes across just like – and I know why. The directors have picked up on it. Every time there's a broadcast, either on ESPN or the SEC network, they've picked up on it. They know how that looks, especially when the team's not playing well. On our McClellan Chiropractic chat line, if there's a bunch of good coaches out of work, if I were Tech, I would make a hire sooner than later because these guys will not be around for long. Well, we're going to, the timetable's TBD, I guess. let's dive in more into this with someone who has great knowledge because he has created the quintessential fan account for the last 35 years. If you want any kind of tech, football, other sport information, go to this guy's site. It's called Tech Sideline, in case you haven't heard of it. He's Will Stewart. What's up, William? Good to see you, my friend.
Doing well. How are you?
Oh, big week, my friend. Big week.
I'm just looking at the aliasing on my head on my virtual background.
I know.
You know, Google's way better at that stuff in Google Meet than StreamYard is.
Yeah, no doubt. No, you're right. I kept trying to find one, and I did the same thing. So now I just go with my blandness until my shelves are built. So,
hey, the comments in the corner, is that new?
Yeah, it's something I discovered. We went live Saturday night, right after the game, me and Dwight, and I looked up and it said, "Do you want to show the comments on the stage?" And I went, "Yes, have some."
Yes, I do.
And then I clicked it over and look, Zeta. There it is.
Do you like my chalet in the background?
I do like your chalet. Matter of fact, I'd like to come there and have a nice cup of cocoa and just kind of rest for a while. That's nice.
Get away from it all.
Yeah, I do want to get away from it all. Well, your thoughts, my friend. It was a no-brainer what happened on Sunday, but what's your vibe about some of the other things that seem to be developing early on in this process?
First of all, that escalated quickly.
That got out of hand quickly.
I mean, you know, it's like you see the wave building and then it just goes like that all in one motion.
Yes.
Man, eight bad quarters against Vanderbilt and ODU, and you're toast. Everything that's happened since then, I keep getting asked the question, who's Virginia Tech's next head coach going to be? And my answer is that's the wrong question. The question is, how's the program going to be supported and structured? And these are things that the Board of Visitors is going to answer. We believe at around September 30th, they're going to, John Rockovic, the rector, has tasked Jay Pearson and can't remember Mr. McCarthy's first name, but Pearson and McCarthy are in charge of coming up with a plan to support the athletic department from the university side of things, and specifically how the football program is going to be structured, how the entire athletic department is going to be structured. So we need to wait and see what happens there first. For those of you not familiar with the story, Whit Babcock, athletic director, did a presentation to the Board of Visitors that said we have a annual budget of about 150 million, and it needs to be 200 million. So where's the extra 50 million going to come from? And so Virginia Tech needs to decide how they're going to answer that question, how they're going to support it from the university side of things, and how they're going to structure the athletic department. And these are questions you have to answer, and you have to be very public about it before you can even think of going shopping for a new head coach, because the head coach doesn't know who his boss is going to be and doesn't know what the university support of the program is going to be.
This whole vibe, and I know your very own Andy Bitter and David Teal are 100% convinced Witt's not going anywhere. How in the world does that coexist? And I know you were telling me earlier in the week that you guys are kind of split there in the TSL room about how this might end up playing out.
Yeah, it's really interesting, the debates we've been having, because Teal and Andy have sources telling them that Witt will stay on in what I would call a reduced capacity. He certainly won't be in charge of the football program. He's going to be only peripherally involved with the hire of the new coach. And then Chris Coleman and David Cunningham have sources saying, nah, Witt's on the way out. He's going to retire.
Me too. I've got those sources too.
Yeah. So before we did our podcast yesterday to preview the Wofford game, you know, such as it is.
Yeah.
Our podcast host, a student named Riley Klaus, came in, and Riley said, do you want to talk about Whit Babcock? So there was some back and forth about, if we do talk about him, what are we going to say? And there is a disagreement within our office as to what's going to happen. So we wound up not talking about Witt on the podcast, but it's funny. The guys thought the whole thing was a little tense, and I'm like, no, this is just pros just talking,
That's right. That's right.
Yeah. And I find it interesting. And so there's a question of who's right and who's wrong. Well, maybe there are shades of gray here, and when it finally unfolds, you can see where both sides were told things that are actually partially or maybe wholly true.
It seems like it would be a congested situation. Andy did a great job in highlighting what Georgia Tech did and how they cleaned the whole thing out at once, realized this is just terrible. We got to just go a completely different direction. Now it's turning out very well for them. I don't see how that works. It's nothing personal against Witt. I know he's done okay in other stuff, and he's been, he's out. He just made this proposal. But when you failed so badly at the main thing that matters at Tech twice, and you've never been good at that throughout your whole career, I just don't know how that's going to work with him floating around if that is indeed the way it ends up. It just seems confusing to me. Seems very congested to me.
I think that the issues go beyond, he hired Fuente who failed, then he hired Brent Pry who failed. The issues go beyond that. And if you've been following the athletic department for years, then there are things underneath. Bill Lansden was head of the Hockey Club. That was Bill's full-time job. And Bill left shortly after COVID started.
Right.
And that's 5 years ago, Rick.
Wow. Yeah.
And the Hockey Club has not had a dedicated full-time director in that 5 years.
That's crazy.
It went rudderless for a little while, and then that job was one of many jobs given to Brad Worthman. Brad has 15 heads, and there's a hat on every one of them.
No doubt. No doubt.
Brad is a very busy person and a very accomplished person in the athletic department, and he was for a time period in charge of the Hockey Club. And that's now been handed to Danny White. Danny's a good guy. Everybody likes Danny. I don't think it's Danny's only responsibility either. And neither one of those guys is an experienced fundraiser. That's not in their main wheelhouse. So there's that. And then there's the fact that Witt went without a chief financial officer for years. When he first started here, he had 2 or 3 or 4 of them all in a row in quick succession, and they all left. And then for years, he didn't have one at all until they hired their new CFO, probably about a year and a half ago. You're running $100 million+ operation, and there's no chief financial officer. That's really odd to me. And so there are things like that have gone on that the general public is not aware of, that they don't pay attention to. You just speak to the inability to properly staff and properly structure a large organization. So it's more than just, you can't hire a football coach. It's, you brought up Georgia Tech. You look at Georgia Tech, they are setting records for fundraising.
Yes.
They cleaned house and got a serious professional fundraising staff in there. They decided they liked Brent Key as their head football coach. They made that decision on 8 games that he coached as an interim coach.
Right.
I think every single coaching hire is a roll of the dice. You don't know how it's going to work out.
No question.
And even if you hire a successful coach, that doesn't mean he's going to be successful at your place. There are fit and chemistry issues everywhere. So everybody, the whole reason I bring that up is I'm not saying that Georgia Tech was genius for hiring Brent.
Right, right.
Turned out to be a good coach.
Yep.
He could have been a major flop as well. Clemson hired their wide receivers coach as a head coach, and everybody laughed at him. And the guy went on to win 2 national championships. You just don't know. Virginia Tech hired Justin Fuente, who was very successful at Memphis, flamed out. So. Anyway, back to the Georgia Tech example. It's easy for those of us on the outside to say just sweep it all off the table, but that's actually my inclination here. Sometimes you need to do that.
The indications we had from Teal this week, and I know you guys had him in as well on your podcast again. The relationship that Sands and Witt have is very close, professional, friendly, personal. probably playing into that if that's indeed the case, right? That maybe that Sands just feels like maybe he's in his final contract too, and why would he want to break in a new AD? Maybe that's part of all this.
Yeah, we actually had a conversation with somebody highly placed in the university, not the athletic department, but Chris Coleman and I went out to lunch with somebody last summer. We asked him the question, if Pry has to go, if Brent Pry has to go and Whit Babcock has to go, who's making that decision? And this person answered, not Tim Sands, because I believe his contract is up in 2027. He's not far away from that. He's done an excellent job in building Virginia Tech's presence in Northern Virginia. That was, from what I understand, one of his mandates. The money's not in Blacksburg. It's not in the NRV. It's up there, so he's done a lot of good work up there with, I guess, the Amazon campus, if you want to call it that. Some of the other initiatives he's undertaken, you either approve or disapprove of them based on your political leanings. It's that simple. But he is at this point in his career at Virginia Tech, and I believe he's going to full on retire when he's done at Virginia Tech. Yeah, he didn't want to do something like this. So this person told me, and Chris said, it'll come from the BOV. And that is exactly where it's coming from. There's a school of thought out there that presentation that Whit made, he was told to make it by the BOV, to go very public and very detailed. Not the entire BOV, but somebody on the BOV told him to do that. And it was very public and very detailed. And now there are members of the BOV that are acting on it. So, I totally agree with all that it's going to come from the BOV, not Sands. So a little history lesson for you. I wrote a series of articles, which are now 20 years old, about when Virginia Tech was struggling with their athletic department back in the mid-'80s. So for those of you that don't know, Bill Dooley was the coach at Virginia Tech. I think he came in 1977 and coached Virginia Tech through 1986. Dooley was a successful coach at North Carolina, and the way that Virginia Tech got him away from North Carolina was they didn't just give him the job as football coach, they gave him the job as athletic director.
Right.
So he was AD and football coach for the entirety of his time here, and he did a poor job running the athletic department. We'll put it that way. He got him in debt, figures which these days don't sound like anything. He got him like $1 or $2 or $3 million worth of debt.
right.
Because he was doing some facilities stuff. He was expanding Lane Stadium, I believe, and building the Jamerson Center on the side of Castle Coliseum. So he was doing these things, and he was counting on donors. And then he ran afoul of a guy named Moose Matthews, Moose was not the athletic director at the time Dooley was hired, but Moose was the guy with all the power. Almost like a John Boleyn type situation, right? Yeah. Where he had a lot of influence. And Moose turned the big donors against Dooley. So the money to pay for Dooley's stuff wasn't there. And then he did things like putting football players on track scholarships and all that kind of stuff. So he was doing all this unmonitored by the university. And then things started to happen, and the university found out about it. And Bill Lavery was the president at the time.
Yep. And
Lavery and Dooley were, just like Sands and Whit Babcock, very friendly, close friends. When I first started writing this series of articles, it was a series of 6 articles, and it was really interesting. I ran the first 1 or 2. And then Jack Bogacek, if you remember Jack.
Oh, yeah.
Jack emailed me, and Jack's like, you don't know how close Lavery and Dooley were. And this did not happen to Bogacek himself, but he talked to the person that did experience it. Dooley and Lavery would go play racquetball together and then go in the locker room and shower and be walking around butt naked in front of each other. That's how close these guys were.
Wow.
I'm not saying Tim Sands and Whit
breaking news.
They're walking around butt naked in front of each other. But so it was a difficult but necessary thing for Lavery to get involved in athletics. And he created something called a odd name Blueprint Committee to kind of look over the athletic department and the rest of the story is long and complicated and ugly. I'm just making the point that, if you can make the argument that if you're Tim Sands, you have to do your job. But as we just discussed, that job is being done for him by the Board of Visitors.
Will Stewart joining us on the program, the founder, owner, etc. of Tech Sideline.
Telling you more than you want to know about.
That's okay. It's okay. That's all right.
Yeah.
Someone in chat asked, Wayne asked if you and I are that close. Not yet.
No.
That's a negatory. Although Will is moving closer to me here soon. Just saying.
Not public knowledge.
Not public knowledge. All right. So regardless of what happens with Witt, and I'm going to join your side, Chris, from just kind of what I've been gathering from folks. So we'll see who ends up being right. Is there some kind of major bet going on, by the way, within the TSL walls about who's right and who's wrong?
No, but there should be.
There needs to be. Yeah, you guys need to have like a big wagering thing up.
we can even have a side pool on what day this is going to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah. September 30th, we're told. See, that whole thing, the idea that the BOV told Witt that they engineered that presentation by Witt. So that was, if I remember my dates correctly, that was August 25th or something like that. It was mid-late August. And Rakovic appoints McCarthy and Pearson and says, you guys come up with a plan to fix all this. You don't come up with that plan in 5 weeks. You don't just suddenly at that meeting decide we're going to do this, and 5 weeks later you got the plan. I think they'd been working on it ahead of time. I think this goes further back. So I think what you see on or around September 30th, if it does happen then, is actually something that's been cooking for longer than just 5 weeks. That's my take. That is not a source. That's just my opinion.
Feels like that they're going to go the GM hire first. Seems to be the direction they're going. Your thoughts on that? I think it has to be a very well thought out scenario, whatever the committee's going to look like. And I'm sure there's some inner bickering about who's going to be on the committee. I mean, nobody's just going to say, hey, I don't want to be there. I want to. But the GM first, I know it's going to be set up like the NFL. That's the way it's evolving, but this isn't the same as the NFL. This is still new in college football. It's developing, and in college basketball too. But it's not established yet how the whole GM head coach relationship should go. Do you foresee it working more smoothly if the head coach is hired first, or if they bring in the GM? Or I guess, like you're just saying, I guess it just depends on who it all is, right, and how it all plays out timing-wise.
Yeah, you can structure your organization however you want, but it always comes down to the people that are populating it. There are really good people out there that can do a great job in a poorly structured organization. And there are really lousy people out there that can do a terrible job in a well-structured organization. So, yeah, you got to say how it's going to be built and staffed, and then you got to staff it. So my take on the whole GM thing is player acquisition and talent retention is very different in college than it is at the NFL level. At the NFL level, they have a draft, they have salary caps, they can trade. There's all kinds of stuff they can do.
Yeah.
And in college, it's just a bunch of guys with their 6-shooters just, woo, it's the Wild West.
Here you go. Yeah.
And they're just doing whatever they damn well please. So it's a different thing. But one thing that they do share in common is that you do have to negotiate contracts with the athletes, actually, their agents these days. And that's the revenue share portion of it that is controlled by the athletic department. So there's some commonality there. But so I had somebody ask me the whole reason I talk about that is I had somebody ask me on Twitter, what do you think about Bruce Arians as GM? No.
No, it's not going to happen.
Bruce hasn't been in college football since he was an assistant in Alabama in 1997. He is far removed from college football. And oh, by the way, he's never had a GM role in any capacity from what I understand. Who cares that he played quarterback for Virginia Tech in the mid-1970s? It's got nothing to do with anything.
No.
You want to hire somebody who knows college football and who understands the constraints and the lack of constraints and, what to do from there. So that's kind of my take on it. It's not that it's sort of the same as the NFL, but not really.
Yeah, and Burnett told us Tuesday what it's going to look like from that standpoint. It's going to be, if Bruce Arians is involved, he'd be glad to consult if he's asked. He's willing to help out. He loves Tech.
Jeff King will do the same. Right.
Correct. That's all he's going to do. Somebody ask him, he's glad to help. But he's got another gig with Sirius Radio breaking down NFL film. He's not – people bring up these names, and you're right, just because of a past connection. It's kind of like the whole Shane Beamer coming – just stop. None of that's going to happen. You know?
I think there's finally, after all these years, a movement afoot to flush it all, just separate from all of the history and run it like it needs to be run now, like a modern organization by people who they don't need to have ties to Virginia Tech. If you can find somebody good, great, but more than likely you're going to find that person from outside the Virginia Tech sphere of influence. And you need that sometimes. You need somebody to come in and have a fresh point of view and be able to, you ask the question all the time. If you were building your company just from a clean sheet of paper, how would you build it? If you were building an athletic department from a clean sheet of paper, how would you build it? And oh, by the way, as a tangent, if I was building an athletic department from the ground up, I would not have 24, 25, 26 sports. I'd have I think it's 17.
The bare minimum.
Requires the bare minimum. And I would tell you what those sports would be, by the way. And that's what you look at the entire SEC. Look at everybody in the SEC. There's only like one or two schools that sponsor more than the close to the minimum.
That's
sport. Exactly
right.
And oh, by the way, one of the most successful football programs in the ACC does the same thing. Clemson's got like 17 sports. How did I get on that tangent? Anyway, I never answered your question. Going back in the conversation, I think that you need to publicly tell people how things are going to be structured. Then you need to hire the GM, and I think that the GM needs to be part of the football coach hiring process. That's my take.
All right, I'm not going to ask the question about names, but who's somebody you would like to see be the head coach? Instead of all this, I'm not going to – speculation's kind of silly. I know it's fun. It's clickbait. People get excited about certain people. But for you personally, and we know it's going to be someone with a head coach background. It's not going to be another assistant. I mean, in all likelihood, can't say that 100%. Like you said, who knows? There's so much that can happen in the next 2 or 3 months. But who's the kind of guy you would like to see take this job as the head coach?
Well, if you're asking me to name specific names, I can't do that because I don't really follow college football as a whole. I do three things. I run my business, I follow the Hokies, and I mow the lawn. And those are the three things I do.
And you drive a really cool police car.
It's in the shop. It's getting fixed. Can't wait to get it back. So it's the guy you want. First of all, the structure around him. You don't want your coach negotiating NIL. And I think that's one of the situations Virginia Tech is in right now that's difficult, is Brent Pry is making, from what we've been told, this isn't public knowledge, but from what we've been told over the years, he's making the decisions about, who gets paid.
Right.
Maybe not what, but he does make a lot of decisions associated with NIL. I think you need to take that off the coach's plate. He should have some input into it, but your GM and the people around him should be negotiating when talking with the agents and doing those things. So take that off your football coach's plate. And then you need to have a guy who is in the parlay of Liam Neeson, it is a very specific skill set. So, for instance, one of the names that's being thrown around is Dave Clawson, used to coach at Wake Forest.
That's what I said earlier. Somebody were asking me to pin down a name. If I heard that was going to happen, I would be okay. Let's go. I think.
Well, the problem with Clawson is he's a good coach, but he's a developmental coach, and I think part of the reason he fired or retired.
I think he was kind of retired. Maybe he saw the writing on the wall, but I think he kind of made that decision himself. Yeah.
My take on Clawson is that when he could recruit players out of high school and develop them, and build a team through time, that he was a good coach. But with the revolving door and rosters these days, that's not his thing. He doesn't like it. He pulled a Tony Bennett, pulled a Nick Saban.
Right.
Said, I don't want to do this anymore. I'm out of here. This stuff sucks. And so you actually don't want a developmental guy, Rick. That needs to be part of your program, but you also need to have a coach that can somehow get these rosters that churn 30, 40, 50 guys a year, get them all on the same page quickly, get them motivated, get them performing. It's a very difficult job because you look around college football, and Virginia Tech lost 3 guys to the SEC. They lost Xavier Chaplin, Braylon Moore, and Mansour Delane. Delane wasn't very good last year at Virginia Tech.
No.
And he's very good this year at LSU.
Yeah, very good.
Could he have been perhaps somewhat mailing it in and not fully focused? Maybe. But the whole reason I bring him up is that you need to have a coach that could keep guys dialed in and motivated and playing hard. And that is not an easy thing to do. You see it in the NFL all the time. Guys just don't play hard anymore. I watched the Dolphins last night there against the Bills in Buffalo. Now, the Dolphins were 0-2 and not looking great, but they played hard last night. They played as well as they could. They just made 2 or 3 critical mistakes, one of them super critical that lost them the game. But they went up to Buffalo as 12.5-point underdogs and played a good game and wound up covering the spread. They only lost by 10, but so Mike McDaniel somehow got him to play hard, and that's not an easy thing to do now that college sports have been professionalized and these guys are all getting paid and they're all thinking about their next job and their next NIL deal.
Has anybody of significance, I can say past now, did anybody ever get better under Brent Pry? That wasn't like, APR was already established coming from Florida. Bashal Tootin was already established. Jalen Lane, we knew what he did at Middle Tennessee. I'm talking about younger guys. I don't remember, and we're seeing it now with Kyron Drones and his immense regression. I don't remember one guy you could go, boy, look how he's brought that guy along. And you mentioned Delane. I was just thinking about that. He goes to LSU, and he might be one of the best corners in that entire conference. It's just
I think his PFF grade is currently 99.2 or something completely ludicrous like that.
Is that all? Is that all?
And that's with no extra credit, folks. That's a straight up 99.2. You could argue off the top of my head. I'm not a roster hound like some of our guys.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying. I'm trying to think.
You could argue that Aiden Green has developed pretty well.
Yeah.
Offensive line, nobody comes to mind there.
No. And they brought in good pieces, established pieces for the defensive line, the last couple of years.
Yeah, guys like Aeneas Peebles and APR. And,
no linebackers, no linebackers, no secondary guys.
Well, I think a guy to watch is Emmett Laws. Emmett is a redshirt freshman, so whatever. It's not like he's developed a lot, but whatever development he has undergone so far is Wayne says John Love.
Kicker.
Well,
he's
he is
good at developing those
good.
Kickers.
Then Peter Moore, the punter, was really good. So that's a good question. And the thing is, you think about some of the like Tucker Holloway. Did Fuente recruit Tucker Holloway? Brent Pry was only there 3.2 years, right?
Yeah,
not that long.
Well, good stuff, man. Great insight. And, we just hit 500 subscribers, and you are a large part of that, my friend. So thank you so much. And enjoy tomorrow. I know you can't wait to sit there and watch Tech and Wofford. It won't be on TV. It'll be on the ACC Network Extra tomorrow.
Right. It'll be streaming, which it's interesting because 2 years ago, coming off of what was Virginia Tech in Pry's first year? Were they 3-9?
Yes.
Yeah.
Got the win against Liberty at the end. Yeah.
Coming off a 3-9 year, the third game of the season, if I remember correctly. No, wait a minute. When did they last play Wofford, Rick? Give me a second. I'm
2022. Was it 2022?
Which was Pry's first year.
27 to something. 27-7, I think. It was a lot closer than I thought it was going to be. Something like that.
Yeah. So what's interesting about that is, so it's not coming off a 3-9 year. It's coming off of Fuente getting fired. They've lost to ODU 20-17 on the road, and then they beat Boston College handily at home 27-10. So Fuente getting fired, the embarrassment at ODU, and that was an embarrassment. Then a decent win over Boston College, a Boston College team that I don't remember what they wound up going. Then you play Wofford at 11 a.m. and 62,000 people showed up.
Yeah.
And that is not going to happen Saturday.
No.
Like my friend group, one guy's coming. I'm like, well, when are you going to get there? He's like, well, I could get there like 9 o'clock. I'm like, okay. And then I got a DM last night from somebody who tailgates over behind me. And he's like, I'm going to be there at 8 a.m. drinking Miller Lights. I said, okay.
Okay. All right.
So there's going to be a few people here, but I had somebody text me last night. Keith Welton's a friend of ours. Keith is like, you have any extra parking spots? And I'm like, boy, do I.
How many do you need?
I got 6 spots and only 2 of them are being used. So what do you need? I remember, we knew it was getting to the end of Frank's career. Frank was basically a 500 coach, 2012 through 2015. And in the 2015 season, they played, I don't remember the exact sequence of games, but fairly late, they played Pitt. And I've got a picture of it right before kickoff. And there's maybe 40,000 people in the stands.
Yeah.
It was very sparse. And that was the day that Tech went out and they got, now I got to look it up. They went out and they lost to Pitt. But that was the day that Tech had 100 yards of offense. Brendan Motley was subbing for, can't remember who was hurt. Come on, where's that Pittsburgh game?
The old Christiansburg Blue Demon, Brendan Motley.
There we go, box score. Total offensive yards, 100. Virginia Tech ran 53 plays and averaged 1.9 yards per play. And the attendance was listed at 49,120. And it wasn't that many people. So that was only the 5th game of the season, Rick. But you knew that the clock was ticking on Frank because there were a lot of empty seats and the team was just horrible that day. So I've been thinking about that because I think we're going to roll into the stadium on Saturday, and I think it's going to be that kind of crowd.
Yeah.
And some of that is because of who they're playing and where it's positioned. It's at the end of three straight home games or something like that after losing to South Carolina. So that has something to do with it, but also has to do with the program just kind of being down right now.
Yeah. Well, we're never down after a conversation with Will Stewart. Appreciate you, my friend, and thanks for everything. And I hope you have a good weekend. I know you will.
Yeah, you too. I'm gonna go back to relaxing at the chalet here.
Okay, yeah. Save me a spot there
with our giant stone fireplace.
Warm me up a nice, little
hot brand. Chocolate. Go skiing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Maybe some marshmallows, and I'll come by later.
All right, brother.
Have a good weekend. Thanks, man.
Thanks,
Take care.
Too.
There you go. Good stuff there from Will Stewart from Tech Sideline. I want to thank all of our great sponsors. Before we bring on our next guest, Family Fencing, sponsor of our studio here in Ryan. We just hit 500 subs. They were the first to join us. Free quote today, 540-200-8294. Doesn't matter the material or the fencing, they will take care of it. Thanks to Mark Hunley, McClellan Chiropractic. Go see them over off of Peppers Ferry. We're going to do the coming up here in a couple weeks, I'm going to go over there and get broken in half by all of his great technology with all of his chiro stuff. They don't even have to jump on you and do all that stuff anymore. They just put you on a machine and your body starts making all these crazy sounds. Maybe that'll be good. Maybe that won't be good. Professional Door Incorporated, residential, commercial garage doors, family owned and operated 38 years, sponsor of our BDST text line. Thanks to Travis Williams and the crew. Thanks to Lara Ramsey, National Bank, member FDIC, the exclusive banking partner of BDST. Been with him for 35 years. The attorney, Ryan Pry, down in Radford, 701 West Main Street, even though he's an Eagles fan. sponsoring our BDST fan question of the week. This week it was Shane Beamer with 31 of your responses. That's the coach you'd like to see next. Little River Heating and Air, 1095 Radford Street in Christiansburg. You know, the air is now going to be warmer again today. It's colder at night. Make sure you call Charles Lee and get it fixed the right way so you can adjust it accordingly. And we're so proud here to be always to be honored by Pulaski County Sports and Entertainment, our presenting sponsor here of this program. And they have so many wonderful things that are going on that are going to continue to go on. The community collaboration that they have in place is wonderful. And to see where I grew up, forward thinking from a national perspective, not just a local or a regional, which I hope this show can, get to at some point. But they're on the road. They're out promoting everything the county has to offer. It's amazing what Jonathan Sweet and Tim Miller are doing. So we thank them for all of their assistance as well. And thank you, all of you, for helping us get to 500 subscribers. This is finishing up our 5th week. That means we're averaging about 100 a week. Blows my mind. Thank you. Let's go on to the next. As immediately my showrunner said, congratulations. Now get to the next one. Joining us now on the program, speaking of getting to the next one, there he is. He is one of the best human beings I've ever known. His name's Mike Ashley. What's up, Michael? Good morning. How are you? I don't know how else to say it. I mean,
you're a good human being too. We're all good human beings. We mean well. That's
we mean well. We mean well. We do.
But I take that as he knows nothing about sports anymore, but he's a nice guy, so we keep letting him come on. Hey, congratulations on the subscribers, my friend. That is quite a landmark, and you got momentum. You're matriculating the ball down the field, as we like to say in our profession.
Exactly. I got my Hank Stram going, don't I? Yeah, I do.
Come on, baby. 64.
Come on, baby. Come on,
it's gonna go.
A lot going on here in Blacksburg. You covered Tech for a long time. You've been through this. You've seen things kind of the upheaval happen before, haven't you?
Well, personally, yeah, I was, my previous life as a sports information person, I always like to say that there were paragraphs in the Frank Beamer bio that I wrote that stayed in the press guide all those years because I was there when Frank was hired, and it was a very exciting time. The brief but marvelous tenure of Dutch Bachman as athletic director. But hey, I was over there for, there were 3 different athletic directors in my just under 2 years in the athletic department at Virginia Tech. So I learned so much. And that was the year, my year in sports information there was the year Coach Dooley they were trying to get rid of him as athletic director, but thought he was okay as football coach. But Coach Dooley thought he should have both jobs and was suing the university as the team marched on to the Peach Bowl and triumphed in our friend Chris Kinzer's big kick to win the game. And that was a tumultuous season and experience for all of us involved. So yes, I understand what's going on over there. I kind of hate that college athletics is at the point now where coaches are dismissed during the season, but hey, it is a business more so now than ever, and you can't afford to lag behind in any areas. And while I'm appreciative to the fact that everybody wants to know who the next coach is, there are so many questions right now that have to be resolved, I think, before you can really make an informed decision about moving forward.
100%.
This whole thing with the fundraising over there to get up to where the Florida States and the Clemsons are. If you're serious about this, you gotta be looking at that. And a coach would too. And are the people in place now in administrative positions at the upper echelon of athletics and at the university? Are they the right people to continue forward? And that's something else a new coach is going to have to wonder about. Am I going to be there? The people that hire me, are they going to be there as I try and rebuild this thing? And if not, how does that play out? It's that's always a dangerous situation for somebody coming into something like this. And I don't envy anybody there, especially season ticket holders right now. Wofford. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Well, one thing we do know, this has to be right. Whatever they come up with, they have to make sure this is right. There's so much pressure that they've kind of put on themselves with the decisions that have been made over there and the way things have been handled over the last several years, post Frank Beamer and Jim Weaver. So there's a lot of pressure, isn't it? I mean, this has to be successful. It has to be right, because that program is the one thing that has to be correct going forward. They can't have a third straight whiff as a head football coach.
Yeah, it was in my professional life down there that I saw everything change after I left Tech, and it all, late night dinner. It all started from where I could tell with the Big East, the affiliation with the Big East that put Tech on a regional, maybe even national kind of footing television wise every weekend, playing opponents in big markets. And that's as Tech started to grow. And that sort of corresponded as Penn State started to go down. And there's always, that economics thing there of supply and demand. And then Tech's great success and just the atmosphere in the stadium. Everybody saw that as it grew. Thursday nights there. That's I was explaining to somebody last night, says, well, this isn't that big a deal, is it? And I said, well, yeah, there's going to be a lot of change and a lot of things they're trying to get back to where they were, because that became absolutely an entree for, you talk about front porch. I mean, Virginia Tech had everybody on Thursday nights in the country watching games there, and became a national product. And they need that back, particularly now. This is such a bad time to be doing this. I stumbled into something last night. I was watching something on the ACC network. I was trying to write the I can't remember the reporter's name last night, but they really seem to have he threw some stats out that kind of shocked me. I'm sure you guys have gone over this stuff this week, but let me just refresh everybody. Since 2012, Virginia Tech is 60-70. And so that's not a small sample size.
That's right.
That's 13 years of you can't even call that mediocrity. It's a losing record. It's a little bit less. The one that galls everybody the most is the 40% winning percentage in one-score games. And that's where Brett Pry had his most difficulty, 1-12 in such games. Here's one that shocked me. Over that span, 39 losses as the favored team, and that's something.
Wow.
Frank Beamer didn't do that in his heyday. They beat the people they were supposed to beat, and they beat a lot of people they weren't supposed to beat. And the 39 losses as a favored team, that's five more than any other Power 4 team in the country over that.
That's unbelievable. That's an unbelievable stat right there.
Yeah, well, here's another one that knocked my socks off. Over that span, almost 13 years, 39-33 at home. 39-33. That's certainly not getting it done there. You can't even digest your turkey leg if that's going on. Yeah. Changes have to be made if Virginia Tech football is important to you, and it is important, and not just because for Hokie fans, you look at the economic engine that has become in Southwestern Virginia, where we need our economic engine. So this has to continue on. All right. Well, this is Rick. You understand this. Sometimes people look at what we do working in sports, and they kind of you get the notion they're poo-pooing you. And I would always say, okay, you want to know one thing about sports in Virginia? Why don't you drive down 81 and tell me where it's biggest and nicest? Driving down that death trap that 81 has become now, just 4 lanes most places. But you get to Christiansburg, my friends. Now you get to bypass Christiansburg completely. But beyond that sucker is 10 lanes through there. 10 lanes for those football Saturdays, for coming to school, to going away from school, to graduation. That's it. Yep. That's it. That's the days it's there for. Then and for the Richmond legislators to get there to their Tech football games. Right. There's the importance of this. That this was designed just really for Tech football. So
it was. You're right. Yeah. You're right. All right. Now you're a Carolina lifer, and they've had GMs in place for a while. Bill Belichick hired his guy. Basketball's had a GM there. The structure of that.
They just got to that though.
They just got to
that's
that.
Relatively new. That's
Correct.
not like the 4 billionaires at Duke that.
Right.
Yeah.
That are the actual GMs. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But the coach was a big part of that, right? And it looks like Tech's going to go the other way. Someone in our McClellan chiropractic chat room made the point here in my scenario where the coach should bring in the GM. He said, if the coach gets fired, the GM gets fired. Well, if you have a GM in place first, and he's also part of the coaching hire, which he would be, and the coach doesn't work out, do you still want him around either? I mean, so what if the head coach and his GM get fired? So in other words, if Bill Belichick doesn't work out, Mike Lombardi won't be there. If ends up that basketball goes the other way, and they're supposed to be pretty good this year, I know you know that, then everybody should kind of go, and you have to just do it all over again. So what? If it's not working, like you just said, clear it out, right? So, and that's what Carolina has committed to, and I think that's kind of the model I subscribe to going forward, what they've done with it, with the coach being the one to bring in that GM.
Well, again, that's one of those questions we talked about. You got to decide what's right for you. The thing about college athletics was there's so much at different schools built into the culture of your community and your school, and so it can be completely different at different places. Tech has obviously drug its feet a little bit on some of these kind of things, because the schools that are successful are through eras adapt, and they will, it's more of a pro mindset now. So I don't know exactly how that's going to translate in Blacksburg, but yeah, you got to find people that can make it work. And right now they're going to have to make it work in Blacksburg with a little less money than some of the people they bang heads with regularly. And there's always, hey, maybe it's good to go back to that underdog mentality Virginia Tech used to have when you want to be that up and coming team again. And again, I talked about this with Coach Pry. It was a chance to reset things. Now, obviously they couldn't get it done in the locker room this year, but now in the bigger scheme, you got a chance to reset what you're doing, and you got a chance to kind of start over and see what other teams are doing successful, and kind of take some of that for your own. And I don't know what comes first there. Who's making the decisions, and if they're going to stay and be a part of the long haul. And I never like to joke about this. I'm never one of those fire the coach kind of guys, because
Sure.
You and I work side by side with these people. They have families. They've got established roots in the community, and it's tough. It's tough to watch this sometimes. It really is, and the callousness of people who don't really know any or don't think about that side of it. It's always kind of bothered me too.
Well, and I'm approaching this just from what we just experienced in our own athletic department that very well. Obviously, we had to make a coaching change, so Zach Shue comes in, and one of his first requests of Robert was, I'd like to have a GM. Can we create this? This is something I see is happening, and I would like to be able to make that selection. Of course, Robert completely understood. It's your job. Your position is going to be approved. This should be your guy. I've watched them work. It's very cohesive. There's never any guessing about what he wants, what Coach Chu. You know what I'm saying? It just, and I'm going, okay, that's why it'd have been much different if we just said, hey, we're going to hire the GM. You better get to know him quickly. That just creates some mucky muck that I don't think is going to work. And it looks like Tech is insistent on having the GM in place first. But that's where I'm getting my bias, if you will, because I just saw it unfold months ago here at Radford. That's all.
But think about what we're talking about. This is something that didn't even exist in college.
Did not exist,
a
right?
Couple of years ago. And
right.
Who's to say what the model is going to be in a couple of years? And I was worried as things started breaking down, and the different things you're doing, and even now that it's legal to pay the athletes, how many more compliance people do you need to have in a staff to make sure things are going right? And I just thought there was some additional costs within the athletic department that the smaller schools are going to have trouble following. And that's why that's one of the reasons I think there's a much bigger break coming, where the bigger schools are going to break away completely from that, and you won't see Wofford in Lane Stadium in a few years, that kind of thing. And I don't know that that's all good for athletics in the long run. It's certainly not good for the smaller schools who are already struggling. And I again, I'm not as close to all this as I used to be. I'm wondering who's the general manager for Jeff Beeler in women's golf at Radford.
Correct. Him. He is. He serves as both roles. He gets along very well with his GM.
The club pro, the glove fixer, everything. Yes.
Right.
Of the Big South Championship. Women's. They put a ring on that thing. Yeah.
That's right. We had to order it and design his own ring, so he's just doing it all. He's the program curator.
Jeweler too.
Jeweler. He's got his own.
Apologies to all the jewelry stores at the New York Valley.
Right. Well, it's going to be interesting. Tomorrow will be what it is, and then you can start to see how it's going to go the rest of the year. But some big decisions looming, of course, and the ACC has settled in pretty well so far, Mike. I think easily Georgia Tech and Miami have kind of taken the reins of the league. Florida State's gotten off to a good start, but it's going to be interesting to see how this thing evolves. Is Miami still going to tempt people into thinking this might be the year finally that the U does something? But the Georgia Tech model is how I'm kind of basing this too. And Andy Bitter mentioned it yesterday. They just cut clean, and Will just talked about it. It's worked out. And one thing he's right about, and you know this, Mike, how many times did you cover whatever level and you have a new coach? It's always hit or miss. You never know if that coach is going to work. It's worked out for Georgia Tech. Brent Key wasn't a guy that people were, pounding on the door to hire as a head coach, but they felt comfortable with the new AD. They've raised all sorts of money. It's blasting off down there. Now, not every scenario is going to work out that way, but that is the latest kind of similar example that we have that Virginia Tech could go after, because they're currently in the same conference. They don't have to go too far to see an example of how this can work.
Well, and you think about the depths that Georgia Tech has come from. They're not far removed from running the triple option, which means they really had the wrong personnel in their entire organization. Their football team to transition to what they needed to be playing to be more competitive in the ACC. So they had to make a lot of moves very quickly. Of course, that's easier now in the portal, and there's still news coming on the portal. Looks like they're going down to one opening a year of the window for people to move there. They haven't decided when, and there's a lot of debate about that. Georgia Tech's really impressed me, and I guess the thing I'm most impressed with is that they seem to really have a strong physical team. Which, you'd think more of like that's what they should have been when they were running the triple option, which is a tough way to go now with the pass-happy college football game. And when you fall behind, it's just it's like Chinese water torture or something, I guess, because it's so hard to come back. So good for them. That is a great story. And, I got some connections down there because of Wes Durham's time there as their play-by-play, who's, of course, at Radford, and now a major voice in the ACC, and probably should be, in his own way, the voice of Southern football. But
he's on next week. He's coming on next Friday, by the way. He wanted to be on with you, so we're going to have him on next Friday.
Wow. Okay. Well, we'll relive some times with that one, boy. Let me tell you. But yeah, and you know what? There's another connection down there. There's a Roanoker from Northside High School. Mike Stamus has been their longtime sports information guy who was in school at Northside at the same time I was at Salem. So I used to read his stuff and cuss about how good he was then. So I'm glad he went to Sports Info and stopped writing so much. So.
To Wayne's point, and then we'll let you go, Mike, but the scenario looks like it's playing out. At least David Teal and Andy Bitter believe that Whit Babcock's going to stay, oversee the sports that don't make any money. He failed at football twice. He's not going to have anything to go with it going forward. It seems strange. It seems odd. Tech seems to be comfortable with it, at least early on. It seems to be what people are thinking is going to happen. How can that work in your mind, that he can stay there and completely have nothing to do with the one program that he was hired to fix when he got to Blacksburg?
Well, I'm not that close to it anymore. And in fairness to Witt, the roots of these problems predate his hiring.
They do.
So, but knowing how things move sometimes within structures at colleges, I'm sure there was, even if he had the right ideas and was trying to get them on the right path, it just doesn't always work that easily until you can prove it. Now there's proof. Hey, we need to be doing something different. So from that standpoint, it'll work well. And you got to remember, I came from such a, Chuck Taylor and Greg Denny were the whole athletic department when I was at Radford. That was it. Those two guys. Now I look and see all these faces and staff pictures, and I'm like, my gosh, we got so many people now.
Who are these people?
Yeah. But back then it was a whole different thing. When I got to Virginia Tech, they were much more mom and pop than I thought. Coach Dooley ran there were a lot of people in jobs there that had some sort of football connection, whether they knew anything about the sports they were overseeing or what. But hey, that improved when Coach Dooley was finally ousted. They Dutch Bachman started it, got him on the right path, and it was just amazing how quick, again, going back to those days, how quick that whole athletic department grew, how they got better in all other sports, which they weren't really very good in much of anything back then, and no one noticed because it was football, baseball, and basketball, but now look at their athletic program, what they're doing across the board. So, I don't have a problem with that. I think that can work.
The professional door text line, blown away by your stat that Virginia Tech has lost 39 games as a favorite during that time. That's the one. That's kind of the one to me too. I'm just like, wow.
That was on the ACC Access show, which may still be in rotation if you have the ACC. I didn't catch it was David somebody was the man throwing out stats like that, and they did have a lot of good information. And that gets back to the problem I talked about last week. I think if you're a sports fan now, it's much harder to find good sources. I'm certainly not knocking if you're going to pay and read some of these people like Andy Bitter and Tech Sidelines and stuff like that. But I don't know that you get the overview and context that you do from a more national reporting base. And that's I don't know. I'm the lone man out on the mountain screaming about this. How we don't have the same kind of access to true objective information that we once had across the board.
No, you're right. You're right. Well, listen, great stuff. Are you got toes in the sand this weekend? You do, don't you? In this beach weekend?
Yeah, you could tell I'm here. I thought how I didn't want to get on here and talk about Tech because you got guys that know so much more about that and are right in the trenches there doing that. But I thought as a longtime observer, and again, I go back before. I was before Dooley. Don Strock is my favorite Tech athlete ever from being a kid. Billy Hardy, Roscoe
Coles,
Fast Coles, those guys from way back when. And, I was there when Tech lost 77-6 to Alabama. I mean, not in the stadium, but I remember that. That's in my, I don't have this thing that the younger fans have that they think it's a birthright to be in bowl games and big wins. No. There's work to be done here, as everybody now knows. But you got to, it takes a village, Rick. Everyone's going to have to do their part to rebuild this, so we can all go back and jump up and down to Inner Sandman with some conviction. So anyway, that said, I hurt for my friends down there. Plus, Salem High School's 0-3 too, I'm told. So
so probably be 0-4 after tonight. By the way,
yes, I know that, and that's gloom and doom in the in Mudville down there for that.
Exactly.
Anyway,
all right. Well,
the one other thing, Florida State and Miami went through this too. The leveling out their programs had, and they seem to be coming back just fine now. So, and people that are writing off Clemson, oh boy, just that's it. Give Dabo more ammunition, okay? But anyway, hey, Goober says, hey, great talking to everybody, and times will get better.
Hey to Goober. Have a great weekend. Enjoy the sand. I know you will. Mike Ashley here on the program, as always. Hit us up on our McClellan Chiropractic chat room. It's going nuts. People love the fact that it's now on the screen. If I always forget to put it up, remind me. Thanks to Mark Hundley and the crew, Family Fencing, sponsor of our studios here. Get a free quote, 540-200-8294. That number again, 540-200-8294. FamilyFencingNRV.com. The Professional Door Incorporated text line, Travis Williams and the crew, 540-391-0788. 38 years in business. They're located right up there, Route 100 in Dublin. Go see them. And have a great time. Thanks to Larry Ramsey, everybody over at National Bank, member FDIC, the exclusive banking partner of BDST. Ryan Pry, the attorney. He brings us our BDST fan question of the week. We'll have another one next week. Little River Heating and Air, 1095 Radford Street in Christiansburg. You can't go wrong hiring Charles Sweet. Get a quote. They'll come out, give you an honest assessment. Honesty is what they built their business on. And I've been mentioning all day, all the great things, specifically this week, all the great things that are coming to Pulaski County, thanks to Jonathan Sweet and Tim Miller, the presenting sponsor of this program. All right. And that sets the stage for our next guest, joining us now, the First Lady of BDST, and Jen the Gamecock Girl, now with us. And Jen, how about the fact that we have hit 500? Look at that. 500 subs, Jen. It's all because of you, my dear.
I did nothing. Congratulations to you. That's amazing.
Isn't that amazing? Yeah. Yay.
That is really cool. And how long have you been on now? 3 weeks?
No. It's
been
about 5 weeks.
5?
So we're averaging about 100 a week, something like that.
No, that's good though.
Yeah, that is good. Wow, you look great today. I mean, you always
you like my
do.
hair like this?
Yeah.
Thanks. I just decided to let it be, and I didn't do anything to it.
No, that's the best way to go.
Thanks.
That does something for you. Does something for me too.
Well, it feels nice and soft. I just washed it. I did shower for you today.
Oh, thank you. Okay. Wow. That's good to know. Wow. Hey, it's nice to know I'm still worth showering for. That's great.
Well, you have been a little bit obnoxious this week, but I still love you.
What? I don't know what you're talking about. Did you get that last Diego Pavia meme I sent you?
I got all of them.
Got all of them? Okay.
Yes.
Well, let's talk about it. You were there. Yeah. First of all, what's up with your quarterback? How bad is he dinged up? What do we know? I keep hearing he's questionable for tomorrow even. What's going on?
The latest is exactly that. They've been very tight-lipped about it, and I don't know that he's going to play tomorrow. I feel like it's been very secretive, which to me is not a good sign. I just don't feel really good about him playing, and I don't feel great about that game.
That's not good. Going on the road in the SEC. You need to have your quarterback if you're going on the road in the SEC. I don't know if you know that or not. I don't know if you cover the SEC very well, but you need to have your quarterback.
I'm not you with my sports knowledge, but I know enough to know that. Yes.
It's bigger picture. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, it's been really tough because, of course, that game was disappointing. And then Sellers, our quarterback, was injured and left in the second quarter. And Luke Doty is the seasoned, I think it's his 5th or 6th year. I've lost track. He got the extra year with COVID. And Luke is capable and serviceable, but he's not Lenoris. So it's going to be tough if we can't get Sellers back in.
You watch this team as closely as anybody, and this isn't me jabbing you at all, but they haven't looked great. I mean, even in the Tech game, it was 10-8 in the fourth quarter. They had all these high expectations. And you said it, like they didn't look great against South Carolina State for a long period of that game.
Mm-hmm.
Then what happened against Vandy. I think about Tech going into last year. We heard all this hype. We heard that they're coming off 7 wins. They were going to have this breakthrough season. I kept hearing how they're going to contend for the ACC. There were national websites that had Tech like one of the 3 teams on the outside to challenge for a playoff, a wild card in the new playoff, right? None of that happened. South Carolina comes in, number 13 in the country. They're getting, other than Georgia and Bama and Texas and et al., Tennessee, they're getting a lot of love. they haven't looked the part so far, right? I mean, in any of their game, what do you think has gotten them off to this kind of sluggish beginning right now?
Well, number one, we usually are sluggish at the start of the year. That has been the pattern under Beamer. And there have been times that I thought we're not going to win another game this season and past seasons. And then surprise, we have these explosive performances that look nothing like those. So, there's a certain amount of everyone wondering, well, is this that same pattern, or are we really having a big problem, which appears to be the case, but it has appeared to be the case before, and things turned around very quickly. Now, we do have the new OC in Shula, and he has been taking some punches in the media down here, and people feel like maybe his play calling is to blame for some of it. I personally feel also that not having Rocket Sanders has allowed the defense to focus more on going after Lenore. So we've always had a weaker O-line, and now without the possibility of someone like Rocket being explosive and taking off, they can just focus more on Lenore's, or have been, obviously he's not playing right now. So we've had, some trouble getting our running backs moving to the level that we wanted. So the focus has been more on Lenore's, and we've seen what happened with that. So there are a few other pretty big problems that need to be resolved if we're going to get anywhere. And a lot of the fans here are just wondering if Shula is the right guy. Now, if you've watched him at all in the past, he has tended to have some vanilla offenses, we'll call it that. So, again, we just don't know how much of it is the fact that the personnel has changed enough to allow defenses to prepare a little bit better for Lenore's, and how much of it is Shula's play calling or other factors there.
And again, not trying to pile on, but I did make a conscious effort, especially when the Tech game got out of hand in the opposite way against ODU. I was watching your game basically primarily the rest of the evening, and I was really struck by how physically dominant Vanderbilt was in that football game. And you're sitting here talking about Vanderbilt, and I know they're a different team, and I know they're developing, and they're good. They're good.
They are good.
But they were just winning every battle up front against South Carolina. And I'm sitting there going, how is this happening right now? We'll see. We'll see how this season goes. But it kind of feels like it's lining up a little bit like Tech season last year, at least early. It might change. You can go on the road tomorrow without your quarterback. You pull off a win, it could put you right back in the stratosphere of momentum, right?
Yeah, it just takes one good turnaround to get back in there. But I do feel like Vanderbilt's playing with a lot of urgency, and they're more hungry. I mean, I think they look great. I think they're going to make a great run this year. I did not feel like we had a clear identity as a team that really wanted to win and was being the scrappy South Carolina team that we can be. And I didn't see any of that, which concerned me. That was probably the most concerning part. I didn't have the urgency that I saw, or our team didn't have the urgency that I saw in Vanderbilt. And I just didn't feel a lot of faith in that particular game. Now, okay, let's rewind, go back a year. We laid an egg with Ole Miss. I don't know if you remember that last year.
I do.
That game.
I do.
And that game was awful and very similar in nature. And from the start, we were not in that game. We faked a kickoff and then got that totally went downhill. It did not work at all. And all kinds of weird stuff happened. And the whole game was characterized by that same lackluster kind of performance. And then you saw what happened the rest of our season. So I don't know. These Beamer teams are a little tough. You don't want to write them off too early.
John says in our chat that Jen should create a nice sax intro song for the show. I'm down. I'm down.
Okay. I like that idea.
Could you make one for us? Are you still with your group? What are they called? The Sax Chicks or something like that?
Uptown Sax Coalition. We were the Chicks, but then now we have a male member, so we're Coalition now, and it's so USC for short.
See, look at you. Always marketing. Always marketing. All right. Speaking of marketing, it's time to jump into our pick. What are we in? Week 4? Yeah, this is week 4. How did we do last week? I know you had a great week 2 weeks ago.
Well, I think you know how you did.
Jen?
I did not do so well.
No, I need the update. I need the update.
Okay, I will provide the update. So here are the many things that you were correct in that I was not. We'll just start there. Georgia Tech, you successfully called that upset, which I didn't have a problem with that outcome. That was
no, you didn't mind that at all.
Texas A&M, you properly predicted that game. I did not. Although I did say we should bet against the spread, so I got that part right, but not the straight up winner. Let's see what else. You picked Pitt against West Virginia, correct?
Yeah, I did lose that one.
So that was the one that I got correct against you. We both, interestingly enough, we both had Tennessee beating Georgia, which was fairly close, but did not happen.
It was a great football game. That was a great football game.
And you called Tulane, as you reminded me in text.
Yeah.
I had picked Duke to win. And then, unfortunately, I picked South Carolina and you picked Vanderbilt. So,
wow, that's really one-sided, isn't it?
I'm only up one game going into this week now. I have completely given up my margin of victory.
Things are tightening up.
Early matter of time, you know.
All right, well, let's jump into it this week. A little better selection of games. We were kind of struggling. I was struggling last week to find the last couple. It wasn't a lot of great.
I don't know. A few of these, I was like, Rick, come on, baby. What are you doing to me?
Well, when I get down to the last 2 or 3, it's usually by point spread if it's a close game or so forth. Right. All right. Texas Tech and Utah. This is valid. This is Big 12, 2 undefeated teams, 2 ranked teams, 16 and 17. Nooner. This is the big noon kickoff on Fox tomorrow.
Let's go Utah. I'm going to take Utah at home. I like their defense a lot.
I do too, but I like Texas Tech a little better. Vegas has Utah 3.5 point favorites. You get 3 points for being at home, so they're only getting a half point basically for being a better team. Let's go Red Raiders. I like their nickname a lot better than Utes. That's all. Nothing against the Ute tribe whatsoever. All right, Auburn and Oklahoma, 2 traditional college football powers. Oklahoma, Brent Venables needs a big year. He's gotten it so far. What do you think? Heading down to Norman, 2 undefeated teams again.
Should be a good game with Jackson Arnold returning to Oklahoma. And I think Oklahoma obviously will be well prepared for him now that he has transferred to Auburn. So I like Oklahoma at home on this one.
I do too. I'm going with Oklahoma. Michigan and Nebraska. Speaking of 2 traditional powers, Big Ten matchup. Michigan has just looked Nebraska's 3-0, but they've kind of looked what do you think? Some of the best fans ever, Memorial Stadium. I've experienced them in person many years ago with Richie Davis. Who you got winning this one?
I didn't know you'd gone there. That's pretty cool.
Oh, great people. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we went and watched 2004. It was the Tyrod Taylor game when he rallied Tech in the fourth quarter. And they were so complimentary. They were great. They were great people. Yeah.
Okay. I've never been there. Would like to go myself.
Yeah,
I'm going to take Nebraska at home. I feel like Rule is known for getting his program rolling around year 3, and I think it's his 3rd year now. Is that correct?
It is. Nebraska hasn't won a big football game in many, many years, and this is the one that if they're gonna make a statement, this is it. I'm going to go Michigan on the road. I think they're going to run the ball. I think the Haynes kid is the real deal. I think Michigan still has a little bit more toughness to them, but I could see this going your way, though. I could see Nebraska winning, but I'm going to go Michigan as a slight favorite on the road to come through. Should be a really good game. You know how I feel about Tulane. I can't quit Tulane. I got to put them on the list. Going down to take on Lane Kiffin. Was he number 2? I keep thinking, is he number 2 on your travel with list? Was he number 2 or number 1?
He was not number 2. Number 2, Sam Pittman's number 1.
Sam Pittman's number 1. I keep forgetting that.
How
What
could
do
you
think?
forget Sam Pittman?
I can't remember Sam. I keep forgetting Sam Pittman because he's a forgettable coach.
Seems like a cool guy, though.
He does. He's doing a good job this year. I've got Ole Miss winning this game, even though my green and light blue of Tulane and those great helmets, they're going to play well, but I don't think they can match the firepower of Ole Miss.
Well, I laughed when I saw this game on the list because the line on this is Ole Miss by 12.5. But I knew that you put it on there for Tulane because you love Tulane so much.
I love me some Green Wave.
He's a homer now, but okay.
Well, and also because I know you like yourself some Lane. I know you want him a little pudgier, but, he'll get there. Trust me, he'll get there. It's inevitable. He'll get there.
If he's back with the wife, maybe he'll get the happy pounds.
Yeah. He's not trying so hard now dating the 24-year-old.
Right. He's not prowling anymore, so maybe he'll eat more carbs and chill out a little bit.
Florida and Miami. People have been asking about this game. Florida, I could see Napier getting relieved of his duties if this doesn't go well. I think that's where that's headed pretty quickly down there in Gainesville. I got Miami winning this game at home.
I do. I feel like Lagway has been throwing a bunch of interceptions and very inconsistent. He's another one, got a lot of preseason hype, hasn't been able to find his groove yet.
Looks terrible. And it's a big game for Miami. Mario Cristobal, here you go. You've played yourself in this situation. Carson Beck, go out and do it, right? Go out and do it. And here's a good game. You never thought you'd say this about this matchup in the Big Ten, but here we are. Illinois at Indiana. Kurt Cignetti hosting a very good Fighting Illini team. This is going to be another good football game in the Big Ten. You don't usually get two of them in 1 week, but we do this week.
Bielema is dead to me after what happened at our bowl game and will forever be dead to me. So it makes it very difficult to consider picking them. I did consider it, but I'm going Indiana, and I'm admitting tremendous bias in this matchup.
I'm going Illinois. I learned my lesson. The way they just took over that game against Duke, which I thought was going to be a trap game for them, they looked really good midway through the third quarter on. I think they're going to do the same here on the road. All respect to Kurt Cignetti for what he's done in Indiana. It's incredible. But Michigan State against the soiled condoms of USC. What you got?
Sorry, was not prepared for that.
Well, they're the Trojans.
USC West. Did you know that they're leading the nation nationally at 55 points a game right now? I did not know that.
I know. You got to look who they've played. But, yeah, I'm going with USC as well. The only school in California remotely serious about college football. Here you go. Unfortunately, this series is ending after tomorrow. SMU at TCU. It's been played for decades, and yet here we are because of realignment, and they can't get together on non-conference stuff. SMU, TCU, the Horned Frogs taking on the Mustangs.
I had forgotten this was the Iron Skillet Trophy.
Iron Skillet, yes.
It's super fun, but got to go TCU on this. There's another team pounding out the offense. I think 45 points a game, and they certainly looked really good against UNC.
And SMU has been very underwhelming. They were a preseason top 20 team. They have not looked good at all. Sounds like another team we just talked about in the SEC.
The season's fun. There's more football to play.
Oh, yeah. I got TCU at home. I do. I've got TCU as well. And I was really buying into SMU. I'm shocked. They have not looked good. They have not looked good.
You haven't referred to SMU as SMU yet. I'm a little bit disappointed.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
A tribute to Sarah. Oh, who's Smoo?
Do you think she's Googled you and looked it up and seen this mention?
Oh, they're not Smoo. He's still talking about that. He must still like me.
Yeah, maybe she's telling her husband now, like when she's holding her grandkids. She's like, he's still talking about me, still thinking about me.
I told you it had an impact. All right, the next game. I really think we need to go down there and really take this game against Central Florida very seriously. The last time we played a team with initials, we didn't do so well. I know that every time I get on the bus, I'm kind of surrounded in my aura by Jordan's blueberries, the smell coming off of her auburn hair. Bill Belichick takes Carolina down to UCF. What you got? That was actual word by word, by the way, dialogue from the Carolina press conference this week.
He called UCF Central several times.
He did.
Ooh, disrespectful. I'm going to go UCF.
Yeah, me too. Jordan can't bail him out of that one. Here you go now. NC State, undefeated at Duke. Big rivalry game in the ACC. Now, this is actually a conference game as opposed to the one that wasn't when they beat Virginia. Duke at home, still reeling over the Illinois thing a little bit. NC State. I got Duke winning at home.
Do you?
Okay. I do.
All right. I'm going to go NC State. I'd like their come from behind win at Wake Forest last week. They are inconsistent, though. I would not be surprised if Duke does win, but I like the momentum of NC State right now.
I put Virginia on here. I wanted to have one power Virginia game. I didn't bother with Tech and Wofford because that's going to be what it is. But Virginia, we live in a world where Virginia is double-digit heavy favorites at home against Stanford. Maybe we look at this one as do they cover that spread? What is it, 14.5? Something like that?
Mm-hmm. Maybe. It depends. I don't know. What time's the game? Actually, I haven't even looked.
That's a great question.
If it's a night
Hang on. I'm efforting just for you.
Thank you for efforting. I'm having a problem with my glasses. They're sliding down my nose.
It's 7:30 on the ACC network, and they're now 15.5-point favorites. Wow.
I think they'll cover.
I got Virginia winning comfortably. Virginia's looked really good. I know it was William and Mary, but you don't put up a school record 700 yards unless you're pretty good offensively. So I think Stanford's walking into a mantra. Going across the country, they'd rather be back home playing chess anyway. California schools don't travel well.
Do you think they take the tree with them? Does the tree go to away games?
Yeah, they probably get more concerned how the tree's going to fit on the plane and look once they take it out of the box than they do actually going and playing the opponent. Yeah, because they are Stanford. Yeah.
The tree doesn't cuddly or snuggly. The tree is not snuggly or cuddly looking.
No, not at all.
Sorry.
It's okay. Now I put back-to-back Big Ten games on here because they're close. Here's two of them. Iowa and Rutgers. Ooh. If someone said, hey, Jen, if you're around New Jersey this weekend, I got two right on the 50 about road tea. You can have free beverages, free food. You want to come watch Iowa and Rutgers? Your answer would be?
Okay.
Oh, you would go. That's true.
I'll do it. Sure. If I'm on the 50, I would prefer club level, but okay, I'll do whatever.
That's true. Oh, yeah, you're the club girl.
Mm-hmm.
By the way, you have to take ownership. Where was the picture?
I forgot.
Yeah, I forgot. Where was the garnet pants picture?
I actually ended up not wearing them because it was too hot. So I wore a garnet top that was off the shoulder, black skirt, cowboy boots. But
you lost, didn't you?
We lost. So I'm kind of glad I didn't wear the garnet pants because then they would be unlucky garnet pants. So saving them.
I got Rutgers beating Iowa at home.
Oof. I'm going to go Iowa just because they have so much more experience with these big games and more pressure. Sometimes schools like Rutgers don't handle this kind of game well, but I honestly, I just don't know. I have not watched Rutgers play one down in football this year. Have you?
I have actually. I've watched a little. I like Greg Schiano. I like him as a college football coach. I like to watch his teams. I enjoy. Tech fan didn't like it, but I like watching his team when they played Tech the last 2 years. So I have watched him a little bit. Yeah. And here we go. Maryland, who's undefeated, at Wisconsin, who got decked once again by Alabama like they did last year, coming off that going home. I've got Wisconsin at home taking care of business against the Terps.
Same.
Yeah. Those Mounties, those pesky Mounties, they looked down and out the whole game against Pitt. This is the one you got on me last week. They rallied late, got the big win. Was that an overtime win? I think it was.
Yes.
Now they got to pack up, though, go on the road in the Big 12 to Kansas. Rich Rod's got them believing a little bit. You think they can keep the magic going? Kansas isn't necessarily a juggernaut, you know.
I'm going to take Kansas at home. I think the line on it's tight. So, or is it?
No, I think Kansas is pretty comfortably.
Oh, wait. Okay. I just noticed my scribbly writing. I thought it, when I first looked at it, I thought it was 3.5, but it's actually 13.5. So Kansas.
I have Kansas. You do have very poor handwriting for, someone.
How do you know? I don't think I've ever sent you anything handwritten.
Yeah. When you came in studio last time we were in radio, you wrote some things down. I think I criticized your handwriting then too.
That is deserved, actually. It's very scribbly.
Staying in the Big 12, Arizona State at Baylor, Sun Devil versus Bear. And the spread is right now 2 points, 2-point spread. In favor of Baylor, by the way, at home. You get 3. Remember, you get 3.
I'm going to go Baylor at home. I really don't know, though. I'm not sure what to make of Arizona State yet.
I don't either. I'm going to go Baylor at home, too. I like them. I don't like them, but I like them.
They're not Tulane for you, but.
Right. Yeah, they're not Tulane in any way, shape, or form. They're certainly not even in the Diego Pavia conversation. By the way, he's a pretty good quarterback, that Diego Pavia.
Yeah, I've heard that.
Did you see that firsthand from the club level the other night? Just want to make sure. All right, here we go. Your South Carolina Gamecocks at Missouri. Now, in the past, ladies and gentlemen, people always – now, I get this a lot. Jen never picks against South Carolina. I said, that's not true. That's not true. You may not have heard her pick against South Carolina. She will just politely decline to make a choice, and I know what that means. So here we are. Lenore Sellers, I think he's going to play at Missouri. This is a massive game. It's not an overstatement considering how you guys have looked. You already have a conference loss going on the road. Missouri feels like they're ready to make a jump. What do you think? What's going to happen? Who's going to show up tomorrow for Shane Beamer?
I wish I knew. I wish I knew, friends. I think I might have to opt out of my.
We know what that means, and I'm not opting out. I'm going to Missouri at home. The spread has bounced around from 9 to 10, 10.5. I mean, that doesn't sound like a team that was really number 13 in the preseason going on the road, be that big of underdogs. But the Sellers situation's playing into it. I understand that.
It is. If he doesn't play, it's going to be tough. I just don't know that we have what it takes. I just don't know. Drinkwitz, as dorky as he is really a great coach. He's great, especially at offense.
He was really low on your list.
Yes. And it's a shame because I think he is a Polish American as well, and I'd love to support him a little bit more.
Right. That's right. You're down with your fellow Polish Americans. That's right.
I'd love to eat some pierogies with him and enjoy his company if he were more enjoyable, but I don't think that he would be. But yeah, I just have to abstain from today's choice with this particular game. I hope you'll respect my decision and my privacy.
I understand. Yes, I do. Yes, I do. We here on BDST at YouTube respect your decision and your privacy in this matter.
Thank you. I'm going to release a press release a little bit later about that. And also, I will be watching the game at home alone because I'm so anxious about it. And I don't want chit chat. I don't want people bothering me and trying to ask me if they can have more dip or
100%.
And make them a drink. I just need to focus.
Nobody understands more than me. I don't ever watch a Broncos game. I don't want it. I turn the phone off. Just leave me alone. I don't want anybody coming downstairs and asking me a question. I'm mad enough after how we lost last week. We're playing the Chargers tomorrow. I know how it's likely going to on Sunday. I know how it's likely going to go. Yeah. Sometimes you just go, this is me and my team. Leave me alone.
I feel like I can will them to win also.
Correct. Yes. We have influence. Yes. Yeah.
And I need to be able to summon all that power.
Absolutely.
Do it. So when we lost last week, I decided to not watch any ESPN at all on Sunday because I just
that's always a good decision.
Couldn't handle watching the coverage or anything. So, I have certain protocol that I go into depending on the results of the game. And now I'm in this protocol where until there's a little light shining through the door crack, then I'm just going to be alone for a while And I think that's best for everybody.
Right. You sit on the same spot. If things went well on the couch, you try to think about what beverage did I have? What time of the game? Am I wearing the same hat? I usually wear a hat. Yeah, it does matter. They know. The teams know what you're doing when you're watching.
They do. Know. And they also know when I work out, and I feel like my working out makes them more swole. And
yeah, they're strong when you're strong. Yes.
Correct. So my good habits transfer directly to the team, especially the running backs. I feel like if I lift really hard Friday night, Saturday morning, then the running backs are more equipped to do their job well.
I hope that 21YZ is right. He says the Broncos will beat the Chargers. From your lips to God's ears. All right, before we let you go, take us through your experience in the club suite. Did you ever get anybody to go with you?
I did. One of my neighbors went.
Happy building, happy Jen.
He is the person who takes care of my cat when I'm out of town.
Oh, it's your cat guy.
Jim. So Uncle Jim is my cat Jazz. It's her uncle, and he is very sweet, and he was a good guest. So the ambiance when we initially went, of course, was very optimistic. But once the game started, ambiance.
Is that going on? A little bit of this?
It was a little more rowdy than that, I would say, until about the second quarter, and then it started to be more like, ew.
What did you have to eat? What did you eat in the suite?
I had, let's see, let me think through all the snacks.
No, she had a lot.
They had a little fruit and salad display. So I ate some of that to feel like I was being healthy. And then once the game started to go downhill, then I went for the wings. I did have a few shrimp cocktail, little tiny apps, like with one shrimp on each one. I had two.
I don't think I understood the level you contributed to the lack of success of your football team until you just told me that. In addition to not taking the picture, in addition to bailing on the garnet pant because, oh no, it's too hot. You're eating fruit and salad at a football game?
It's all about balance. And I was feeling good and confident at that point. And I just wanted to have a little balance. And then once the game shifted, I was like, it doesn't matter anymore. Let's just go for it. I did have barbecue at my own tailgate that I hosted. I hosted a full tailgate for all my people. I had barbecue, brisket, beef brisket, pulled pork, mac and cheese, baked beans. I made Manhattans. So, we had plenty.
You tried to recover as best you could once you were in charge of it. I get it. You did a great job rallying. You did a much better job of rallying the food portions than your football coach did with his team.
I can't even say anything. It was so disappointing. It was bad. But again, last year after Ole Miss, I thought we were done for the whole year.
I know. And then you bounced back. He turned it around in a heartbeat.
We won way more games. We won 9 games in Vegas. Thought we were going to win 6.
Correct.
So.
Well, Jen, we got to that big number there, and a lot of it has to do with you. So congratulations on helping us get to 500.
Well, my 10 friends who I'm sure did it, I'll take credit for 10 people.
Well, thank you. Are we going to get a pregame pick tomorrow? I got people on the text line blowing me up. Is she going to send one this week? I don't know. Okay. I'm asking you now.
I will do it because I'll be in the comfort of my home. And do you think I should wear my hair like this, that do a different hairdo and kind of cleanse the usual hairdo? And what do you think?
I really like it when you wear your hair that way. Jordan does that.
The thought of being with Bill Belichick as a boyfriend is really yuck to me.
I understand.
Really bad.
I understand. Well, good luck tomorrow. I always have an affinity for your squad because of you, unless you're playing my favorite player.
Do you? Because your text didn't really seem like that at all.
Well, that was a unique situation. That was my guy. That was my Diego Pavia.
You always fell in love with the quarterback. Remember when you were in love with Drake May?
I did, yeah. And I stand by that. That was a Carolina failure. It wasn't a Drake May failure. Yeah. Before that, it was Trevor Lawrence.
And it's interesting that you pick people that I'm opposed to, like Trevor.
I know. but he had those beautiful, long, flowing gold locks, kind of like you do today. I mean, how could you not?
His hair is nice.
See?
A nice guy. And actually, he's on my fantasy football team now. So.
Oh, see, you're coming around the whole Clemson way. I knew it.
Whatever it takes to win. I have 2 teams, and actually, he's on both of my teams now that I think about it.
Okay. All right. Well, there you go. All right. Thank you so much, as always. We'll see how we do on our picks, and I hope you have a much better football weekend than you did last weekend.
Well, go Cox always. Better times ahead, I hope.
Better times ahead. All right. Look forward to that picture tomorrow.
Thank you.
All right. Be good. Thank you. Thank you for everything again. Take care. Stay safe. Jen the Gamecock Girl here on the program. And that's going to do it for us. Great stuff as always. I want to thank all of our sponsors here on the program. Professional Door Incorporated, Travis Williams up in Dublin, National Bank member FDIC. Thanks to Larry Ramsey. Thanks to Pulaski County Sports Entertainment, the presenting sponsor of this program, Little River Heating and Air, Charles Lee and Company, the attorney Ryan Pry. For our BDST fan question of the week, Mark Hunley, McClellan Chiropractic over on Peppers Ferry Road, and of course, Jason Green and the gang at Family Fencing Studios. And again, thank you so very much. I don't take it for granted in any way, shape, or form that we were able to get to, boom, that. It's amazing. It's about 100 subs per week. This is concluding week number 5. Thank you. I don't know what to say. Let's go get the next ones, I guess is the best way to say it. Let's go get the next 500. Let's keep it going. Thanks to everybody. A lot going on next week. I believe the whole Marty and Rags thing is going to happen. Don't know the day yet. Take 2. West Durham joins us next week. A whole cornucopia of things still might happen next week on the show. Have a great weekend. Enjoy your football. And thank you again, everybody. I don't know how to say it any more clearly enough. I mean it sincerely. This is your show, and let's keep it rolling. All right. Take care. We'll see you next week. Thanks for watching. Thanks to Will, Mike Ashley, and Jen. We'll see you next week. Enjoy.